You are not ready for this pain. None of you are. Again, this is... Trans activists are trying to bully straight men into dating women. Okay.
Had moments where we haven't felt comfortable in our own skin. But what if you spent every minute of every day lying about who you really are? Domain feels lonely and isolated because of a secret she's been guarding since she was a child.
It was a really nice time.
I'll see you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right, well, take care.
She did not look
I'm
like she wanted
transgender.
What? Does that mean you were born a man?
One of the things that's not being talked about in the LGBT group with regards to transgender people is the extreme difference in the amounts of mental health issues that trans people face compared to the general population.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what this guy really cares about. Hey chat, here's a drinking game for you. Every time he brings up something that's bullshit, take a drink. Please don't. You will die. You will die.
In fact,
and yeah, also we do talk about these things a lot publicly.
It seems like the woke groups love to ignore any discussion on mental health with any of the groups that they're involved in, especially inside of the groups that have a lot of political power. Here's what I mean when I'm talking about mental health. Take a look at this study that comes from the University of Washington. It collected records from a medical database and found that 58% of trans people had at least one psychiatric diagnosis versus 13.6% in the control group. That means that transgender people are 4 times as likely to have a personality disorder versus the general population. Here's a list of the disorders that were studied. This was a massive study with 10,000 transgender people and a control population of...
You know what? Let's take a quick peek at this study, shall we? This increased risk has been attributed in part to the high rates of discrimination and violence transgender individuals experience. The rates seen in this article are likely inflated by several confounding factors, including the prerequisite mental health assessment before starting medical interventions for transitioning, which may lead to misdiagnosis or overdiagnosis. Curious. It's almost like subjecting people to constant fear and discrimination results in them having more mental health issues. And it's almost like having more contact with mental health professionals will lead to more diagnoses of your problems. And considering a lot of cis people don't even go to fucking therapy, damn, crazy. Crazy. I wonder if he's gonna mention that.
Versus the general population. Here's a list of the disorders that were studied. This was a massive study with 10,000 transgender people and a control population of 53 million. When you compare side by side, you can see that transgender people have higher rates of disorders in every single category. This is a big deal. That being said, there's a reason I showed these previous clips. In this episode of True Life, which is the show...
I wonder why he's not going to the discussion section where they analyze their data.
I just showed a clip of, we have 22-year-old Domain, who is a male to female transgender person that is experiencing a deep amount of anxiety and stress around her identity. So much so that she does not have any friends and is isolated.
Wait, it's not around her identity. It's around how other people are going to react. Specifically, intimate partners are going to react when they find out that she's trans. That's the main issue she has.
It's only her family for social contact.
The only people that know the truth about me are my family. I don't allow myself to have friends because of this. Nobody knows the real me.
These issues Domain has don't have much to do...
Okay. But also, you can have friends without telling them that you're trans.
...with society at large, which in her case was actually quite accepting, and everything to do with Domain's early childhood experiences. We'll get into that in a second, but most importantly, These childhood experiences are leading Domain to exhibit tons of immoral behavior that she is openly aware of, along with the anxiety, which brings our attention to this moment here.
I want to know about her immoral behavior. Tell us, Android man.
As I said, there's a reason I put this clip in my intro, and that's because for most men, this is an extreme boundary violation. Obviously, True Life agrees or has a similar sentiment because they also included this boundary violation in their intro, which is designed to catch people's attention. May I remind you that this is a world where feminists are saying it's sexual assault to lie about your finances to get a woman in bed. Never mind that women constantly use makeup to lie about their skin quality. They use fake
Women wearing makeup are liars. Jesus. Do you think he knows that men wear makeup too? Do you think he knows that men wear makeup? Do you think he knows that, like, literally everyone wears makeup? It's not a lie. It's just wearing makeup. God.
fake hair to lie about their genetics, and they use certain clothing to lie.
Fake hair lies about your genetics? Good fucking god, dude. Oh man, there is not enough alcohol in this bottle. Holy fuck. Oh yeah, Lady Raincloud, this might be real triggering, but this incel is trying to talk about women. I'm just gonna... Old hell roaring indeed. Women use makeup to lie about their skin. Anything they put in their hair, that's to lie about their genetics. Clothing, to lie about their bodies. Checkmate, liberals.
About their cup size. None of that counts. But if feminists are saying that it's assault for a man to lie about his income, then Domain putting a guy's hands on her butt.
Like one guy I was dancing with, putting his arms and his hands all over me. And I'm like, shh, and I put it on my butt.
Or kissing a guy without revealing.
Wait. Sorry. No. Moving his hands to her butt is fine. He's the one trying to touch her in the first place. That is not the same as lying about your social position.
Feeling she is biologically male is certainly sexual assault. I guarantee you the guy Domain kissed ended that night with psychological problems and sexual identity issues after she told the truth.
Damn. That sounds like a him problem. Maybe if he didn't have so much internalized homophobia, he wouldn't be scandalized at the idea of going out with a trans woman.
That is a boundary she knows most men have, and she admits she is willfully violating it. Let's get more into it, but first, if you like the content you see on this channel, then consider making a donation. Viewer support helps keep me independent, and it helps...
It's true. Every dono that you make to my channel makes me stronger and disempowers this fuck.
fund the channel. Links to my PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar pages can all be found in the description. And also, don't forget to support me on Alt Tech. Links to my Odyssey...
Yeah, you know, who knew a straight man kissing a woman would give the straight man sexual identity problems?
channel and my Minds page can be found in the description as well. Alright, back to mental health.
It will be a huge...
Back to mental health! This guy wouldn't know good mental health if it came up and hit him with a 2x4.
Huge weight off my shoulders if I told people the truth. But it's scary. I'm terrified about how people might react. As long as I'm passive as a woman, I can never be in love. I can't allow myself to get that close to someone.
Because she is not willing to deal with her anxiety issues, Domain
Wait. Wait, getting close to people as a trans person can be really scary. Because it does open up the possibility of sexual assault or, like, physical violence against you. A lot of trans women deal with that on the regular. Someone might, coming out to the wrong person could get you killed. It's not an anxiety issue, it's a safety concern.
has put herself into a box where she can't participate in a real relationship with friends or sexual partners. This was filmed in 2011, and Domain lives in Southern California.
In 2011, before it was legal to gay marry.
Person who lived in Southern California during that time period, I can confirm that almost nobody cared if you were transgender. The part about not...
Damn, what a scientific overview of the population of Southern California. I lived there, and everyone I knew liked trans women, but also, I did not like trans women. Stoudman, thank you for the $25 dono. Chat, donate now or you're a transphobe. This isn't up for debate. Fuck. Nobody cared if you were transgender. Except it sounds like he really cares, though. It sounds like he really cared, which kind of invalidates his entire anecdotal point here.
Not being able to find love kind of makes you feel bad until you start to realize that she is actively avoiding real relationships by manipulating straight men instead of going to a place where people will actually accept her.
Wait, she's not avoiding real relationships by manipulating straight men. She's just avoiding real relationships. Hey, Fina Colada. The first thing that probably think is that she fully transitioned, to put it nicely. Krapat Kinetic, thank you for the 100 biddies.
Never be intimate with a guy.
Look at this.
Wait. Let's back this up, okay?
Almost nobody cared if you were transgender. The part about not being able to find love kind of makes you feel bad until you start to realize that she is actively avoiding real relationships by manipulating straight men instead of going to a place where people will actually accept her.
So he just says she's manipulating straight men. But then she says immediately after that,
I can never be intimate with a guy.
So how is she manipulating straight men exactly when they want to kiss her and touch her? This isn't her manipulating them. This is just them seeing her, thinking she's hot, and wanting to touch and kiss her.
Look at this. The statement she just gave is completely untrue. The impression that she gives off in the show is that she is largely meeting guys at bars. Okay. How about a bar that's LGBT friendly? They did have bars back then.
Have you ever gone to a gay bar, though? Fivehead? It's an hour long, yep.
For men who wanted to be in relationships with transgender females. Now, the LGBT group is not a high percentage of society.
Wait, again... Straight men love being with trans women, okay? Like, if straight men know that you're trans, I guarantee you 80% of them are more into you knowing that you're trans. Okay? Why would you go to a gay bar to find a straight man? Like, if you're a straight trans woman, why would you go to a gay bar to find a straight man? It doesn't work like that. Yeah, also, yeah, again, it's not, she has anxiety issues, it's, she could fucking get murdered for using the wrong bathroom if somebody clocks her. You know? Like, it's scary as hell. Also, bi or pan men don't go to gay bars as often. Yeah.
It's like 4%, so it's harder to find someone because it's such a small demographic. Fortunately, people have set up places you can go to find what you're looking for if you happen to be in that small group.
Yeah, but she's trans, not gay. So going to a gay bar isn't her best bet for finding someone who's interested in her.
I mean, holy crap, this was 2011. Online dating had been a common thing for almost a decade at that point. There are very obvious solutions to this problem, but Domain is avoiding them. This is why mental health treatment is so important, because when you are
none of this has anything to do with mental health treatment.
A trauma survivor who has not been treated like Domain, you will avoid healthy relationships on purpose and seek out pathological ones. In the event that an untreated trauma survivor does get into a healthy relationship, it will start to make them feel uncomfortable, and they will sabotage it by doing things like inviting other people into the relationship or anything that creates chaos.
Wait, but you can invite other people into the relationship. Polyamory is a totally valid thing. But also, there is a kernel of truth in this, which is that if she was looking to make friends who accept her and that she doesn't have to worry about, like, them getting violent or hateful towards her, she could be going to, like, gay bars to, like, meet friends. I feel like that's a valid point. But I don't think that's what this MTV video is about.
A lot of these people thrive on chaos and need to be in highly stimulating and or dangerous situations.
Now, what does he mean by these people? Does he mean trans people at large? Like, all trans people thrive on chaos and need to be in highly stimulating or dangerous situations? Or what group is he referring to here?
Domain admits to as much when she points out that she is aware that she might lie to the wrong guy and get violently attacked, yet she still engages in the behavior anyway.
What? The behavior is existing in public, my dude. Like, how does he not get that, like her saying that she's trans to someone is not lying, or her deciding not to open with that is not lying? Goodness gracious. Like, I'm sorry, I've never opened a conversation with a stranger by revealing my entire medical history. Does that mean that I'm a liar who deserves to be violently attacked? No, it doesn't. Like, if a man is in a horrible accident and loses one of his testicles, should he be required to disclose that to a potential partner at the front of the conversation? What if they're repulsed by it? Well then, clearly, he's in the wrong for lying by not revealing that. That's nuts. We call him the Cyclops.
When it's actually a straight man that's trying to talk to you, I would prefer that you be honest with them.
I am gonna instantly get a rejection. Like, ew, go away from me.
Well, then he's not the one.
You're gonna come across somebody who realizes that you're not who you are, and there's a lot of crazy people out there.
Well, the whole point is trying to...
Now, I kind of agree with her friends here, or family here. Mostly because when I was in the dating pool, disclosed that I was trans to everyone at the soonest opportunity, but also I was doing it online, which is a bit safer. There's a lot less risk of, like, a violent altercation, That being said, like, if you're out just having a good time and, like, someone comes up to you and, like, asks you to dance, you don't have to be like, I'm sorry, I'm trans. Like, you're under no... There's no obligation there for you to disclose that or say anything.
avoid, like, violence after. Yeah, if anything, for me, that's what I've always been stressing out to you. You just be straight up with them.
One thing I do like about True Life is that they are very aware of the importance of childhood experiences and very frequently show the histories of the people on their shows. The reason I go over this stuff a lot in my videos is because I want people to understand that if someone is cutting themselves off from the ability to make friends, if someone can't be honest about who...
Wait. Now, okay, couple of things. I agree to an extent, right? She could be going out and making friends at, like, queer-friendly bars. That is something she could do. However, that can also be a really scary thing for a lot of trans people. Like, rejection can be really scary, you know? For cis people and trans people. So she has some ability to make more friends, but clearly the rejection she has faced in the past is something that weighs on her on a daily basis. Yeah, Mintkuro, I totally understand. You know, like, one thing that can be really scary for a lot of trans people is going out shopping, you know? And if you don't have any friends to, like, back you up, it can be really scary going to, like, a store with the cute clothes you want to look at, or the cute shoes you want to look at, you know? Because if somebody misgenders you or something, it can escalate really, really quickly. Yeah, exactly, Paladin Lost. A guy walks up to you in a bar. They're like, "Hey, hey, baby, can I buy you a drink?" Are you expected to say, "Sorry, I'm trans"? Like, nah, that's crazy. Cyanogic, thank you for resubscribing. Thank you for getting cozy in chat.
who they are, if someone is constantly manipulating people for personal gain, and if someone cannot handle or maintain a healthy relationship, it's because of negative experiences during childhood.
Again, she's not manipulating anybody. She literally admitted that she's not sleeping with any of these men. She's just, like, going out with them and, like, receiving their attention and having a good time. And that's fine. You know, some trans women have bottom surgery. Some trans women have bottom surgery and then never talk about being trans ever again. That is something that is fairly common in the trans community. I've known trans women who fully transition, get bottom surgery, get top surgery. They're like 100% passable, and then they cut themselves off from every single person in their life and just start completely fresh, new place, new career, new friend circle, everything. They start from scratch, and no one can out them.
This next clip will allow you to see where Domain is coming from.
Yeah, and it's extreme, but also, like, it's understandable for a lot of people. Especially in the olden days, you know? Like, trans people have been around for a long time, and in the 70s, 80s, 90s, this was a pretty common thing. Famously, there was the transgender Bond girl, and she got into modeling and acting, and she was totally unouted for years. And then she finally got outed. Somebody tracked down where she had come from in the paparazzi, and she got outed. She was plastered over all of the tabloids and papers, and her life was destroyed. And that's just kind of how it is for a lot of trans people. They keep their heads down, and just, you know, try not to draw too much attention to themselves and live their lives. Oh my god, we're only 7 minutes into this.
Always wanted a baby girl. When I came out, she's like, oh my god, it's a boy. When my dad suddenly snapped out of the picture, my mom was like, okay, I'm gonna turn this kid into a girl.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that's a bit sussy. Okay, now I want to know more about this family dynamic. I want to know way more about this family dynamic.
I don't think she can see this, but that was really bad. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and young Domain deserved none of it. But before I go into detail, I just want to say that the main reason I show this stuff is to help you sympathize with these people, and so you understand that if a person is acting like Domain, it's because they have experienced some pretty harsh stuff early on in life.
Wait, I mean, the implication here that every trans woman is like Domain is pretty, gross. So you saw the original doc. So is he taking clips out of context? Because it would not surprise me if this was followed up by some additional context. Because what he's framing right now is that this girl's mom forced her to transition, which is not something that's common at all, especially in 2011.
I'm betting it's far worse than what Domain told the show in the minute of airtime they gave her. That being said, what do we have here? An abandoning father, a single mother who rejected who her child was and said, I don't want you. You didn't turn out the way I liked, so I'm going to force you to be what I wanted. That is just, my God. So both of her parents didn't want...
The total lack of inflection. That is just, my God.
...on her, and now she feels like no one can love her, because her parents certainly didn't love her. No one...
Wait. Okay, so Danny Boy says somewhat, but that's not what happened. Her mom just didn't fight the process, if that makes sense. Okay, so the implication here is just that her mom was supportive of her transition, not that her mom forced her to transition. Am I getting that about right, Danny Boy? Yep. Okay. Okay, so yeah, this guy's a fucking liar, bro.
You think black people... What a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. Holy shit, dude.
Excuse me.
Holy
I'm sorry.
fucking
I'm out of
shit,
control.
dude.
I apologize for that.
Literally lying. Still lying to his audience. Can someone at least fucking enlighten Destiny that he's...
This doc also featured 2 other trans women, I believe 2 trans men. It was quite interesting. That's cool. Yeah, fun fact for all y'all. You can still start a family. There's a thing called adoption. It's pretty cool. Why not? I'm genuinely curious about that. Because there's really no need. The ideal situation would be for a man interested in a woman to be the kind of man who assures that woman that even if she was trans, he would still be there for her. Yep, there's also surrogacy, etc. There's a lot of methods to start a family. Yeah, that's a good point, Mary Animal. If a cis woman, for example, doesn't have a womb, they're also under no obligation to talk about their womb status with someone on a dating app. The same way, like, if a guy matches with a woman who's interested in starting a family down the line, they're under no obligation to talk about, like, I don't know, some kind of testicle issue that, like, rendered them infertile. You know, they aren't under an obligation to talk about the time that they got stuck in the x-ray room with the x-ray machine on and it, like, zapped their balls of all the semen. It seems this is a matter of timing. I just don't think that there's really a necessary component of revealing transness for a lot of things. I mean, I think it would be good if we lived in a society where trans women could just be openly trans. That would be ideal. But we don't live in that world. At least not yet. Anyway.
Someone who loved their kid would abandon them or force them to be the opposite gender because it...
Again, forcing them to be the opposite gender did not happen.
Didn't get the gender they wanted. And as I said, it's probably a lot more than that. I'm just sticking with the information that I have. Now, very frequently, the people who I talk about see these videos, so Domain, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry that you had to experience a deadbeat dad and a controlling mother like that. No one deserves to grow up like that. Kids have no ability to support themselves, so as a survival mechanism, they will just go along with what their parents are doing, and then create a narrative in their head to convince themselves that's how things should be. Because if they don't adhere to their parents' will, dire
Damn, this guy is just going off into his own fantasy land about what this woman's life was like.
consequences await them.
Off of, again, like one sentence.
My mom still lives in the Philippines, so my cousins are really the only support system that I have here. My mom would dress me in fancy girly clothing. I embraced it because it's how I felt on the inside. My mom.
You can't claim that your mom, that her mom forcibly transitioned her when she's saying stuff like, I was a girl on the inside. What the fuck?
Mom just seemed to know that's who I really was. So I've been passing as a girl ever since I was 13 years old.
I'm not saying this is 100% of transgender cases, but no, Domain, this is not a decision you naturally came to of your own accord.
What? Why? Wait, why do you think that?
This is something your mother forced onto you.
What? How do you know that? I think this is under the assumption that kids don't have like a gender identity, but that's not true.
May feel like you came to the conclusion on your own, but as I said, when kids grow up in bad environments, in order to protect themselves, they create a psychological narrative to keep themselves out of danger. In situations where a parent is being outlandish or attacking them, the children, who are the victims, will very often blame themselves for their parents' behavior because that's the only way they can feel like they have control. I'll give you an example. Recently, I've become interested in the podcast of a child star named Jeanette McCurdy. She played Sam on a very popular kids show called iCarly. Jeanette suffered an extremely traumatic childhood with a mother who was probably not so different from Domain's. Jeanette had tons of mental issues all throughout.
How are you making this comparison based off of like 2 sentences about her mom?
Her childhood because of this. However, she started getting treated in her early 20s, and now, at 29, from what I've seen of her, she appears to be a well-adjusted adult who can make healthy decisions. Though her story is for another day. She's writing an autobiography, and I would like to wait until that comes out. What I'm actually going to focus on is her guest, clinical psychologist Lee Waters, and her story about her mother. I think you will find some similarities between her story and Domain's story.
She would just go into these rages, and, you know, for me, because I was the firstborn, she would often say I was the reason for her mental illness, that everything was fine until I was born, and then I was the reason for her mental illness. I mean, my mum was borderline anorexic my whole childhood. She would often tell me this story with great pride about how she weighed less. The day she gave birth to me, she weighed less than the day she became pregnant with me. She would also say, you're just like me, you're going to turn out like me.
Good night, big
Listen
gang.
to what was said. We have a mom who told her daughter that she didn't want her, just like Domain's mom told her that she was unwanted by saying she was disappointed that Domain came out as a biological male.
That's not the same thing. Like, wanting... Like, oh my god,
fuck.
What is it, Kaya? You having a baby brother or baby sister? Baby brother! No, a baby sister.
Fuck.
What is it, Kaya? You having a baby brother or baby sister? Baby brother!
damn, look at that abusive family. Gender reveals art you. But also, like, Debate Board, you can talk about your inability to conceive without, like, outing yourself as a trans woman. I think these are 2 different issues. Is he walking about yelling the F word? Yep. Saying fuck. Because he's disappointed in having another daughter. Which this person is equating with being unhappy to have a child.
That is a horrible thing to say to your child. Then we hear that Lee said her mom bragged about starving her in the womb. Worse yet, she had Lee, as a child, talking about how amazing her mom was to be able to lose weight during her pregnancy.
She would tell that story a lot. And it was so confusing to me because at one level, I would see it from her view and I'd think, wow, you're so self-controlled. That's amazing. That's something to be proud of. Wow, that's amazing that you weighed less. You actually lost weight during your pregnancy. Wow, you're extraordinary.
Does this sound familiar? Domain gives off the impression that she doesn't think it was inappropriate for her mom to tell her that she was unwanted. Her mom just knew she was a girl. Domain has an extreme level of denial for what her mom did to
Domain identifies as a woman now. Like, is this guy saying that if Domain went to therapy, she'd stop being a girl?
to her as a child.
In order to preserve the good.
I guess the term is cis male. Yes, you are a cisgender male. My girlfriend at a bar, we dated and eventually moved in together, and it was at that point she revealed that she was trans. By that time, I didn't care because she was the love of my life. I miss her every day. E. Allen Per, I'm sorry for your loss. The love of my life is laying right over there, asleep. Whose VOD is this? This is Think Before You Sleep.
Of your parent, you have to blame yourself. But you blame yourself because it gives you a sense of control, because you think, oh, well, I can control whether they become rageful or cut me off or verbally abuse me. So in order to have...
But again, in the video, Domain doesn't have really that much contact with her mom. So she like lives with her cousins and extended family. He's the newest right-wing lolcow. Yeah, he is quite funny.
Some sense of control as a child, you have to sacrifice your own sense of self, and you have to blame yourself for horrific abuse. And so what happens is, over time, that gets internalized as I'm faulty. Like, there is something at my core that is faulty.
And it has to be that way. They have to stay in denial, they have to dissociate, they have to ignore their feelings, or they will not survive their childhood. That is a biological protective mechanism designed to keep children alive that predates society and laws that protect children. What this will often turn into is things like this.
There's kind of three common ways in which kids who are growing up with abuse survive. Three kind of psychological defense mechanisms. One is denial. The other is to idolize. And I somewhat sort of ironically, often the more you are abused, the more you will idolize the abuser. I mean, I idolized my mum. My mum was glamorous. She looked like Audrey Hepburn. Gorgeous, thin, long-limbed, beautiful little sort of collarbones, this little elfin.
She idolizes her mom. I'm trying to keep things relevant to Domain's situation, so I'm not talking about everything.
Yeah, how is this relevant to Domain's situation exactly?
However, I did link the video in the description, like I always do for my source material, so you can go watch it yourself, and I highly recommend that you do. But the full story is much worse than what is exclusively relevant to Domain. Lee's mom puts her children through all kinds of trauma while their dad just sits by and lets it happen. Worse, he enables the mother and tries to convince everyone that she is a good person. How else are you supposed to survive that if you don't idolize your mom and think her abusive behavior is your fault?
This guy is so... He's stretching so much. He's about to kick the world's longest field goal.
This is my parent who should be loving me and who is pretending to love me and pretending to the world that we're this amazing family. That's one version of reality. To hold that version of reality beside the actual reality, it takes enormous psychological strength to be able to hold those two dissonant things together. And you can't do it as a child. You just split in two if you were. So you have to choose one or the other. And you cannot, as a child, choose the actual reality, because then you'll just be in terror every day. You'll wake up every day thinking, I am going to get hurt today. I am going to get harmed today. I might die today.
As she said, if she didn't do that, then her experience as a child would have been much worse. Also because she was defenseless, and it would have just angered her mother into doing something much more abusive than what she was going to do.
What?
Didn't do that, then her experience as a child would have been much worse. Also because she was defenseless, and it would have just angered her mother into doing something much more abusive than what she was going to do. Once the abuser has fostered that kind of psychology in their kid, it's very hard to break it. And Lee still had a strong attachment to her mother as an adult, even though her mom would say things like this.
That, you know, you think you're a qualified psychologist, but you're actually not a very good psychologist. You're just a bitter woman. You're just a poor lost soul. I have pity for you. She couldn't even say I was a psychologist. She said, you've had education in psychology, but you're actually really bad at it because all you want to do is blame me.
Even into adulthood, well into adulthood, Lee has a PhD at this point and has been practicing clinical psychology for years. Well into adulthood, she still puts up with this. She still seeks her mother's approval. That's how powerful of an effect that trauma has on your psychology. That's Pavlov's conditioned behavior. Things you are conditioned to do as a child.
No. That's not how Pavlovian conditioning works.
Very much have a lasting effect on you into adulthood, and bad habits formed in childhood are very difficult to correct. Into her 30s and 40s, Lee is still denying the reality of her situation, and she is still looking for her mother's approval, because when she didn't get her mom's approval as a child, she got hurt.
But there was still this little cord of hope that maybe one day my mum will just be warm and loving. Like maybe one day she won't be critical. Maybe one day she'll actually look at me and go, wow, you're a pretty amazing person. You've done great things in your life. You know, you've helped a lot of people as a psychologist. You're world famous. You've written a best-selling book. You know, you're a lovely mum. Like maybe she would see me for who I was.
Isn't that insane? Even Jeanette, who had a mom just as bad as Lee's mom, created an idealized version of her mom who died 8 years ago, despite the horrendous abuse that her mom put her through.
There are moments where I will have a flash or a memory of my mom and I'll just get so sad. It happened just the other day in this closet behind me. I just went, oh my God, I miss my mom so much. I said it out loud to my partner and I felt the lump in my throat and my eyes got watery. What will immediately happen then is I'll feel like she doesn't deserve this. She doesn't deserve me to feel this way toward her. How can she still be ruling me from she's dead? How can she still be controlling my emotions?
Yeah.
How is there room for sadness with the anger that I feel toward her?
Do you see the power of this conditioning? Jeanette.
He's trying to make a point about the power of mental conditioning and trauma, and he's connecting it with this trans woman's situation to claim that she was forced into being trans. And the reason that she's so anxious and scared of forming relationships is that she's actually a he.
Jeanette is almost 30, she has been through tons of therapy, and her mom has been gone for years. Yet she is still controlled by the idealized version of her mother. Take note of that when you think about how Domain spoke positively of her mother, who failed to provide her a father and said she was unwanted.
Her mom didn't fail to provide her a father. Her father left. How is that on the mom in this situation? Her father abandoned her and her mom. What are you talking about, my dude?
Domain still acts out her mom's will. Oddly enough, and extremely similar to Domain's situation, is that Lee's mom would constantly force her daughter into being her relationship therapist. That being the case, I find it a very strange coincidence that Lee grew up to be a therapist.
Mind you, even before I was a qualified...
It's the femoid's fault.
...psychologist, you know, even as a young child, I was her best friend, her therapist, her marriage guidance counselor. I was all of those things.
Of course.
Yeah.
Ironically, when Lee became an actual therapist and started setting boundaries with her parents, her mother called her selfish. I won't spoil everything because I want you to go watch the video, but this conditioning is so strong that Lee doesn't kick her abusive parents out of her life until she's around 47 years old. And she only did it because a catastrophic event happened. I'm not going to say what it was because I think Jeanette and Lee did a good job of organizing this story, and knowing what happened kind of ruins the buildup. One more thing from Lee.
I finish on this note that when you and I talk about the things that we're doing to overcome our past, that becomes the survival guide for someone else's future.
Absolutely true. This is why you need to address mental health. Before I say this next thing, understand that I listen to thousands upon thousands of people talk about their psychological issues.
Which means, of course, I am a licensed psychotherapist. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about their issues.
I have been studying psychology and mental health for 16 years. I listen to the experts, I've read their books, and...
Interestingly, though, you didn't go to college for it. You don't have a degree. You're not a certified mental health expert. You're just a guy who listened to some podcasts.
I've had a reasonable amount of therapy for my own issues. So that's where I'm coming from when I say this.
Clearly not enough.
When you are talking about a community that has an incredibly high rate of attempted suicide at 4...
Again, if you had read the paper, you would know that the high rate of suicidality and mental health issues is largely attributed to the discrimination and hatred and bigotry trans people experience in society. It's literally in the paper you cited at the beginning of the video.
40%. You are talking about a group of people who are not doing so because someone called them a bad name or misgendered them.
Literally, it says it in the paper. The discrimination of society, the violence, the bigotry is what leads to the higher rate of diagnosis and the closer relationship between the trans community and mental health professionals leads to overdiagnosis. It's in the paper. You can look at it. You cited it at the beginning. You showed it on screen.
Of trauma from an earlier age and years of close relationships that are toxic or the inability to form relationships at all because of the trauma. Every suicidal person I've ever listened to has a trauma history. Oh, and one more thing I missed. I have hundreds of thousands, sometimes...
God, I pity the suicidal people he listened to. They did not get good advice from this man. He was probably like giving them instructions on how to like more accurately seal off your garage.
People watching this channel. I have gotten lots of emails from people who are majorly depressed or suicidal asking me how to get help. Not one of those people said they had a good childhood or came from a stable family. Most of them talked about having some pretty severe trauma when they were kids. Now that we've gone over this, you may understand why I call people who are knowingly trying to push aside the mental health issues in the transgender community evil. Trans people...
Jesus Christ. This guy is just one long...
It's a female!
Just one long...
It's a female!
One long, never-ending loop.
It's a female!
People are remaining in an awful mental state or even losing their lives because some grifter wants to accomplish a political agenda. When I say that mainstream media wants people to have poor mental health, I mean it. When I say that mainstream media wants to destroy families, I mean it.
Yes, mainstream media wants to trans all of your children. And once they make them all trans... that's the agenda. Trans in all the kids. Can we go back a few seconds? Absolutely.
Kids. Not stable family. Most of them talked about having some pretty severe trauma when they were kids. Now that we've gone over this, you may understand why I call people who are knowingly trying to push aside the mental health issues in the transgender community evil. Trans people are remaining in an awful mental state or even losing their lives because some grifter wants to accomplish a political agenda. When I say that mainstream media wants people to have poor mental health, I mean it. When I say that mainstream media wants to destroy families, I mean it. because they know when it comes to fighting against poor mental health, as well as a ton of other issues, nothing is stronger than family. Good families keep people mentally healthy, and I know mainstream media...
No. Good social connections keep people mentally healthy. Whether that social connection is in your family, or in your friend group, or in your partner and their family and friend group, that's what makes the difference. My parents may not have understood my loving my girlfriend, but they were supportive. However, her parents were not supportive of neither her nor our relationship. I found out later that her family would harass her when they caught her out without me. Eventually, it was too much for her to bear. Yeah. You know, my dad is very much not supportive of me, so I gotcha. I honestly feel like he thinks he's being a good ally here, but he extremely misses literally all the points, the trend line, the axes, everything else on the chart. No, I think I think he thinks that he is being a good mental health advocate. But I also think that he thinks that trans people and transness is a disease that should be stamped out. I had good social connections, still tried to kill myself because I felt like a failure and a burden. That's totally possible as well. We live in a society that's barely tolerant of trans people. That's why we have so many mental health issues. True, Forlorn. I think he just got the relationship backwards. It's trying to be a good ally, but just doesn't understand why everything so he's jumped to the reverse conclusion. I think if that were true, he would have read the entire study, or at least the entire abstract of the study he's citing as the basis for this video, where it clearly explains why the numbers are the way they are.
Yeah, is actively...
He's Sargon spawn, he can't read. Okay, well, if he's illiterate, then I forgive him.
Trying to destroy mental health, because when...
Hey, Dr. Bees, what up? What's your question? Dr. Bees nuts! Why are you wearing a seal? I'm not wearing a seal, I'm wearing a manatee. And I'm wearing it because chat got a level 5 hype train. And I told them I would wear the manatee outfit again. Because they really liked it when I wore it last time. And went, awooga! It is cute. Thank you. Once more, unto the breach, my friends. The sea squeeze.
Jordan Peterson tries to help people who have been disenfranchised.
Oh. Of course he looks up to Jordan Peterson. Mint, I think this blows your entire argument out of the water. We're less than a third of the way through. I know! We're only 20 minutes in.
Franchised. The media attacks him specifically for doing that. Here's him talking about it.
Why does it...
Oh god, he's referencing this Ben Shapiro interview.
Disturb you so much that there's a group of people who, by your own admission, are disaffected and angry and alienated and young, and I'm helping them. And why is that exactly a problem? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing with them? If you had your druthers, would I ignore them? Would no one talk to them? Is that actually what you want? Well, the answer seems quite clear that that is exactly what's wanted. That's what's held forth, because there's this implicit assumption in all of this critique that in my very act of aid, I'm doing something immoral. Immoral enough to be parodied, let's say, as Red Skull.
If you were an adult...
Oh my god. Oh, he's so mad.
Do what she wants. I'm not here to say that a man can't dress and behave like a woman or get surgery if he wants. However, if you are suicidal and someone in the media is telling you that surgery is going to fix that, then they are not your friend.
You can't just go and get bottom surgery. Even in this situation, if you were like a really dysphoric, suicidal trans person, pre-medical transition, and you saw an interview on the television that was like, hey, you need to go and get bottom surgery, and you're like, yeah, I believe you, television person, and then went to go like to the hospital and were like, hello, I would like bottom surgery, please. They would look at you and be like, okay, here are the steps. First, you need to be on HRT for at least 2 years. Then you need to get, and in order to get on that, you need to get referrals from 2 different psychologists. And then after that, the 2 different psychologists need to sign off on your bottom surgery along with the surgeon, and then we can get you bottom surgery. Goodness. Yeah, like the way these people talk about it, it's like a fucking McDonald's drive-through. You just like drive up to the window and they're like, one vagina coming up, sir. Ding ding, you're a woman now. Don't forget that a GP has to sign off so that you're medically healthy and fit for the surgery as well. Yeah. Like there's so many loops you have to jump through. I'd like the big bottom surgery, please. The combo meal. Can I get it with a side of fries? Honestly, I don't want the fries. Just give me all the salt you were gonna put on the fries. 1 order of tits, please, and a womb on the side. God. Sorry, our womb machine isn't working. Someone messed with the nozzles again. Oh, fuck. Can I get it with the side of a thick-ass booty? That's what I want. I want to get body contouring and a thick-ass booty, okay? That's what I want. Jack, your butt is surprisingly big for a white girl. I want it bigger. I had to do all that for my orchiectomy and it wasn't covered by insurance, so I had to pay with using credit. Oh my god, forlorn. Can I get an orky with a side of espresso? God, trans people are the funniest.
I say this as a person who actually cares about the lives of transgender people and not someone who's just trying to use them for political power.
Do you, though?
Everyone, if you have major issues with depression or suicidal thoughts, then please go get treatment. Treatment.
Yes. That treatment for trans people is often transitioning, my dude.
It is difficult and it takes a long time, but if you put the work in, your life will get better, your negative thoughts will go away, your boredom will go away, and you'll start to actually feel good about yourself. Maybe for the first time ever. One last clip from Jeanette, because I think it's a good segue into the next.
But yes, if you are depressed, you should go get psychological help. Go to therapy. It genuinely can help.
Segment. The reason Jeanette's parents, Lee's parents, and Domain's mom treated them poorly is because they were treated the same way or worse when they were kids. On that note, I think Jeanette says this quite well.
Yeah. I can trace back.
How is all of this about the trans woman, though?
Well, she had a shitty life and my grandma treated her poorly. And okay, so then it's my grandma. So, well, my grandma had a shitty life, so then I should empathize with grandma. But I don't think that a shitty life is an excuse for being a shitty person. And I think that's sort of what has made it difficult for me to find empathy for them.
People hurt other people or self-harm for a reason. It's because it makes them feel good or it distracts them from the suffering their abusers caused them. It's a screwed up way of coping, but it does happen. Here's Domain literally saying that about herself.
It upsets me to think that I could hurt anyone, but I'm lonely. And when I'm out on a date, the loneliness goes away.
Domain is actually quite aware that what she's doing is wrong. She's aware that she's harming.
There's really nothing wrong with going on a date with someone who doesn't know that you're trans.
men by lying to them, but she doesn't care because it makes her feel good.
I love the attention I get from guys when I go out.
There are actually...
She's not talking about going out on the date. She was talking about going out to a club. I'm sorry, is she expected to shout at every man who comes up and starts grinding on her that she's trans? That impractical and silly.
Of privileges that Domain admits she gets when she is passing as a woman. I like this perspective because Domain has spent time as both sexes and is aware of the different ways that people treat you.
It's true. Most trans women are aware of these differences.
When people think I'm a woman, people in general are nicer to me. It's easier to get jobs. It's easier to get dates.
I think this works.
It is easier to get dates. Can confirm. As an actual psychiatrist, oh, Dr. Bees, I thought you were like a general practitioner. I didn't realize you were a psychiatrist. As an actual psychiatrist, please, 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 if you're feeling depressed, suicidal, and feel like inflicting self-harm or harming others, seek help. All jokes and political points aside, your life matters, and there is help from your local Dr. Bees. Very true. Very true. And I feel like that's why I, am spending so much time on this. I think that this guy genuinely does care about mental health issues. He's just come to incredibly wrong conclusions. Mint, I find it extreme. Well, Poonages, I don't think he's good faith about trans people. I think he does care about mental health. I just think he generally cares mostly about mental health for, cisgender straight dudes who can't find dates. Also, remember, your brain is a lying bitch. There are people who care about you. True! Anxiety brain is a fucking liar. You know? Anxiety brain? It's a fucking liar, bro. It's a Weasley little liar.
It's always... Do you think black people... What a fucking liar, dude! What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude! What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude! Holy shit, dude!
Excuse me.
Holy fucking shit, dude!
I apologize for that.
Literally lying! Still lying to his audience! Can someone at least fucking enlighten Destiny that he's literally lying to his audience? What a fucking piece of shit, dude! Holy fucking shit!
That was great. Salmon Moose, thank you for gifting a sub to Poonages. I don't know why that didn't trigger an alert on screen, but thank you very much. I'm a psychiatrist, but I have a lot of people in the MD field, and I dabble in learning about the MD field. Gotcha. The guy narrating is making things up to fit his narrative. She doesn't seem like she's depressed based on the clips, but I'm sure there are clips of that if they were in the episode, given this guy's agenda. Yeah, that is part of it, right? There are parts where she's talking about how she doesn't make friends because she's afraid, about rejection of her transness. And, there are ways you could make friends and be trans, especially, in California. Not being too anxious to make friends is an issue to work on, you know? Yeah, she's just lonely. Lonely and isolated because of the social stigma around transness, you know?
Well, in stark contrast with an ABC 2020 news report of a biological woman who does the exact opposite and lives as a man for a while to write a book on what the experience is like. Here's what Nora Vincent had to say about her dating experience as a man.
Did you have any fun?
Rarely.
It was just an
pretty
ordeal.
Unpleasant. Yeah.
She says the pressure of Ned having to prove himself was grueling. Nora was surprised that many women had no interest in a soft, vulnerable man.
My prejudice was that
the ideal man is a woman in a man's body. And I learned, no, that's really not. There are a lot of women out there who really want a manly man. And the thing is, we don't have to do the part where you cross the room and you go up to a stranger and say the first words. And those first words are so hard to say without sounding like a cheese ball.
Do you think women understand what it's like to be a man?
Not at all. No clue.
Did you like being a woman before, Ned?
I did, but I like it more now because I think it's more of a privilege.
What's really funny is that this was filmed back in 2006, and at the end, there's a guy who says, "This is revolutionary. Now people will stop always seeing women as the victims and men always as the perpetrators."
What? Wait, what?
I did, but I like it more now because I think it's more of a privilege.
What's really funny is that this was filmed back in 2006, and at the end, there's a guy who says, "This is revolutionary. Now people will stop always seeing women as the victims and men always as the perpetrators. They will listen this time because it's being said by a woman." Nope. This experiment where Nora found out what it's like to be a man was pretty much ignored, and feminists went right on with the narratives that Nora was trying to disprove in her book. One more thing on this subject.
What narratives was she trying to disprove in her book? What was she trying to disprove? You didn't even say.
This last bit comes from a scene where Domain and her cousin are at a bar.
Your mission is to find a guy and buy us around the drink.
Just an FYI for the handful of guys out there who, for some reason, still don't know that women will collect drinks from guys who they have no intent on being in a relationship with or even dating.
Damn, bro. Really? You mean guys? You mean girls just want some guys to buy them drinks? Damn. Here's a fun fact for all y'all out there. Sometimes guys just want to get laid, and they don't want a lifelong relationship with you. Sometimes there's no coercion going on here. Buying women drinks can A, just be a nice thing to do, B, make you look cool and make you friends, and C, heightens your chances of getting laid, okay? It's really that simple. And if you get laid, like, yeah, that might not lead to a lifelong relationship or dating or whatever, but you just bought them a drink. You didn't buy them like a fucking $10 billion yacht. I'd buy Jack several drinks, and I would drink them because I'm a lady who drinks well. God, we're not even halfway done with this. How are we not even halfway done with this? How are we not halfway done with this video chat? Fuck.
Alright, now the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about Domain's mini relationship on True Life with Jonathan. Jonathan and Domain met on Facebook, so Domain does know what online dating is and is willing to participate in it.
Facebook isn't online dating. That's just meeting a person online. This is a different thing. Friending a rando on Facebook in 2011 is not online dating.
And as I said, she is very aware that what she's doing is wrong, and her family is not shy about telling her that.
Tonight, I'm going on a second date with the guy I met on Facebook. My cousins are gonna help me get ready.
So who is he?
Some guy I met online. He's really nice.
Does he know?
What you're doing here, it's wrong because you're just lying and just playing games. And not everyone wants to play games.
Look at that. A male cousin of hers blatantly saying, hey, what you're doing is messed up. Particularly considering that Domain is engaging in sexual contact with men who would probably be pretty...
How is she engaged in sexual contact? She said at the beginning video she doesn't have sex with men. What the fuck? I can see you, oh lol. Thank you. Chat got a level 5 hype train, so I put it on. And now I'm a manatee. Damn, Damn, I didn't realize I was showing you TOS-able material, chat.
Mad that she is lying about her biology. This scene is actually the one that comes immediately before the piece I clipped earlier, where Domain says, "I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I don't care because I'm lonely." Completely sociopathic. Other people aren't real to Domain and don't have their own desires and feelings. She's the only one who matters. Another trait likely picked up.
What? What? Again. It's... she's under no obligation whatsoever to reveal that she's trans on a second date. Not even like a 10th date. Like, holy moly. Yeah, this man is an idiot. And maidenless.
Up from her abusive mom, who for some reason thought it was a good idea to say, "You're a boy? That sucks. I didn't want a boy, so I'm going to force you to be what I want." This
Again, this is based off one sentence that Domain said at the beginning of the video. And then she went on to talk about how she wanted to be trans, so it just means her mom was supportive.
People with trauma histories need therapy. They need that professional situation as a chance to form a healthy platonic relationship with someone who allows them to realize that other people exist. You can't understand that other people have different ways of thinking simply by being told that's the case. You need to act that kind of relationship out and learn through experience. Let's continue. Ultimately, the rest of the family is just as bad as Domain. Jonathan...
Honestly, the people telling her to be upfront with her transness are telling her that to keep her safe. They don't want, like, someone to assault and murder her.
Shows up to their house to pick her up. It came up during the date that Domain took a very long time to get ready. Even though Domain was out of the room and Jonathan was there for a while, the family said absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Wait. Good night, Ashley. Get good sleep. Like... yeah, did he expect her family to out her? What a shitty thing to do. This guy would be the worst friend to any trans person. Worst wingman for a trans person to take out. This is Destiny's more incel brother, yeah. Danny Boy, thank you for the 100 biddies. And, also, maybe someone could gift Danny Boy a sub, okay? Danny Boy, longtime friend of the channel. Very, very good homie. Entrama, thank you for gifting Danny Boy to Great a sub. Truly, Entrama, a friend to the chatters, despite his elevated sword status. Ooh, where are you flying to, Entrama?
Alright, bye everyone. Nice meeting everyone. We'll behave, don't worry.
All the people who sat in that room and didn't tell Jonathan what was up are complicit in Domain's behavior.
Jesus Christ. All of the people who don't out a trans woman are complicit in the trans woman's raping of this young man.
If you are going to call yourself good, then you have a duty to stand up to people or try to prevent people from doing things that are wrong. None of them did that. Next up is the date, and it's super awkward.
Well, yeah, it's super awkward because they have a camera crew there. It's super awkward because there are cameras hovering around their table. This guy is such a great student of the human species. Do you think that a camera hovering like this far away might make you a bit nervous on a date? Also, Merry Animal, I think this is their second date. Spherical Man, thank you for subscribing and for being part of this community for 6 months. Jeez, I really need to get an artist to do more heart emotes. Maybe I'll reach out to Thrillby. Thrillby did such a good job with that manatee emote. Thrillby, if you're in chat, send me a message, okay? Whisper me on Discord. Or LB.
It's good.
It's good being here with you tonight, too.
I'm blushing.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a long, awkward pause.
Yeah, because they're smiling and blushing at each other. Wait, can this guy not read, like, facial cues?
It's good.
It's good being here with you tonight, too.
I'm blushing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This guy has one of the I think...
I'm blushing.
Yeah.
That's like the largest smile his face is capable of making. Holy shit.
Wow. That was a long, awkward pause, and not a sign that you have good chemistry with someone or good social skills. That or both of them suck at conversation. Or, more likely,
yeah, you should be filling up every single goddamn second with inane babble on your date. That's good.
It's someone restricting themselves from saying something. Like when you ask someone a question and they give you a short 1 or 2 word answer instead of using that question to build a conversation.
I hope I'm busted.
God, that's
True.
annoying when people do that. It's okay to have silence during a date, but both of them look super tense and uncomfortable.
No, they don't, actually. Now, I might be maybe I'm the one who's bad at reading people chat.
It's good being here with you tonight, too.
I'm blushing.
Yeah.
That doesn't read as an interaction to me that is super awkward.
So tell me more about yourself. Well, you haven't told me already.
I pretty much told you everything already. What do you want to know? I mean,
There's that short conversation-ending answer to Jonathan.
It's the second date. Like throwing it back at him and being like, "What do you want to know?" is a perfectly valid thing to do in that situation.
Jonathan's question because she doesn't want to talk about herself. You've told him everything already? You've only been on one date. And don't say this is a matter of social skills. Domain is 22, not 16, and comes from...
My name Jack. You not a man, though. You a fucking cuck. And you know what? I fucked your mom. And your dad watched. And was just in awe of how good and how much your mom liked me fucking her. Get ready to call me your new stepmom, bitch.
From the 1990s, where kids didn't grow up entirely on their iPads. She should know this stuff. Sure, we had Game Boy back then, but battery life was...
Do you have video? Did you want to play more? Nah, that's fine. He can be sent back to his room, okay? His mom and I got some talking to do.
Sure, and it wasn't considered socially acceptable to play video games all the time, or out in public. You would often get made fun of for doing those things. Also, Domain shows herself as someone who socializes with a lot of new people very frequently. What? She should be a social champion at age 22.
Catalina Gearbox, thank you for the 200 biddies. The humanity.
So this is not a problem with social skills. When conversations are awkward like this, it's because someone is trying to avoid a topic, particularly a high-interest topic like telling someone you've been lying to...
I keep trying to buy them donos, but the mods are too on top of things.
...to them the entire time you've known them.
Do you have any friends out here or no?
Not really. My cousins are my friends.
Well, other than your family.
No one.
Red flag number 2.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of a red flag. That's fair. Like, someone not having any friends can be a red flag, folks.
I wonder if they cut this, but if I was dating someone and considering a relationship with them, then I would
Dank Sinatra, no, you have not missed trans dating. Also, congratulations on starting estrogen. Don't fight the doomer struggle, okay? Don't fight the doomer struggle, because I can guarantee you it gets better. It gets better. I know that when I started transition and like started taking estrogen, like I didn't think that I would ever find someone who like loved me for who I am, thought I was beautiful, whatever. And that can be really scary. But I guarantee that you can find someone who loves you, who respects you, and who wants to be with you. My person is literally sleeping like 10 feet that way. And when I'm done streaming, I'm going to cuddle the shit out of her, and we're going to celebrate our 3-month anniversary. And I love her like more than I love myself. It gets better. It can be really, really rough at the beginning, but it gets better. Like, a lot better. Very gay. Very gay. But there's hope. And you being happy in your own skin is going to be way more effective at helping you find your person than anything else, you know? You being happier and confidenter in yourself helps a lot. Ooh, I want to go see Doctor Strange too, but I haven't seen the new Spider-Man yet, so maybe I need to see that first. You're not drunk enough? I'm gonna get there. We still got 40 minutes of this video. This goddamn video. But also, Dank Sinatra, I just gave you all of that advice because we're going through an MTV video commented on by an incel. And it's not very flattering to him. Might be a little triggering. I don't know. We'll see. I figured out the bet for baggy under eyes. Yeah, it's called makeup. Or hydrating. You either drink a lot of water, use makeup, or use eye cream before bed, which is what I do. I know, think before you sleep, I'm a fan of Canoe and Vosh. Yo, well, thanks Sinatra. Now we all know you're cool as shit. So welcome, get cozy, and maybe someone will gift you a sub. Also, E. Alan Purr, you should probably get a sub too, because you're cool as shit. Saw a tweet response from a trans woman to a hater where she told them she had to have her penis removed to nerf her because her penis was so large she destroyed his mom's pussy. Yeah. I've been using more I fucked your mom responses to trolls on Twitter, and it's a glorious time. I mean, Kuro, thank you for gifting a sub to Dank Sinatra. Trans solidarity. Using a stretch mark remover with a facial toner. Facial toner does make a really good foundation. Here we go!
Really want to know why they are unable to make friends? I would not set that aside and try to cheer her up by saying, I like you, like Jonathan did.
I have a really, really sad life.
Okay. My refrigerator sometimes just like knocks really hard. Just did that and it was very unnerving. I bet it's similar to when I used to play Counter-Strike and would trick trolls into pressing F10. A T for T straight couple who just got married last Friday. I got several people waiting for me to be ready to date. The confidence in my skin and my body are one of the biggest changes yet, and I honestly think that's what makes all the difference. Love yourselves, which hormones can massively help with. For me, day one, anxiety and depression reduction. You'll find other people who love you without even trying. True. If you could knock back. Oh God, what if my fridge goes to another plane? But also, if you're on the second date, don't say that your life is really sad. You know, like, save that for like date 3 or 4, okay?
Nobody likes me.
I like.
Fuck, man. Fuck. Okay, this is don't do this on a second date.
I like you, like Jonathan did.
I have a really, really sad life. Nobody likes me.
I like you.
Domain, you can change your sad life right.
Okay, pro tip for dating, everybody, okay? This is a pro tip for dating. Self-deprecation does not work, okay? Self-deprecation is not cute. Don't do it. Don't. But it's all I've got? No. You've got Mint Kuro. I've seen your selfies. You got good looks. I've seen you talk about the smart shit you do. You got brains. I've seen you make really funny jokes. You got comedy, okay? You don't need to bring yourself down. I too am also trash. Wrong, Lady Raincloud. You're cool as shit. You're a strong, independent woman who don't need no man, okay? You're funny. You got talent. You got creativity out the wazoo. I self-deprecate a lot. Stop it. Stop it. No more self-deprecation. It's true. We all enter from a depreciating. That got a laugh from the lady who was asleep. So here's this video.
Right now, just by being honest with people. It was 2011 at that point. You live in Southern California. Pretty much no one cares you're transgender. Domain is acting like she lives in a southern state in the 1950s. I'll do you one better on that idea. Back to that ABC thing with Nora. That was filmed in 2006. In her experiment, Nora was essentially transgender for 9 months while she was on a guy's bowling team.
Near the end of the team's run, Nora decided to reveal herself as a woman. Nervous about how they'd react, she tested the waters with the one guy she was closest to. She took Jim out for a drink. Later, Jim told the rest of the team, who all took it well.
Did you know, based on watching her bowl? I mean, you know, the joke was she bowled like a girl. But
well, we had our suspicions that these guys did.
Maybe Ned was gay.
Everybody else.
Nobody cared. Not only that, but they first thought that Nora was a gay man when they thought she was a guy, but still didn't care. Then she told them, actually, I'm a female lesbian. And even after that, they still didn't care. I mean, Domain lives in a super liberal state, and she lives in Riverside, which is a blue area now, and probably was in 2011.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. People from outside of, like, left-leaning areas can come in to left-leaning areas. It's not like there's a wall around the left-leaning areas and, like, everyone inside the left area is safe to be around. This is like a baby-level understanding of trans issues. It's worse than that. It's like a baby with a superiority complex.
There is no reason for Domain to keep this a secret outside of her own mental health issues with her mom, which is why I brought up the video with Jeanette McCurdy and psychologist Lee Waters. Domain telling people that she is a biological male after her mom forced her to be a girl activates the
Riverside was fucked up back in 2011. Can you elaborate?
Psychology that helped her survive her childhood, so she moves to anxiety and denial instead of telling people the truth. A sex change operation is not going to fix that. These issues can be very difficult to unravel, which is why I get mad when I hear activists telling children that cross-hormone therapy will solve all of their mental issues and magically make them happy. That's very psychologically dishonest. Cross-hormone therapy is the one that makes you sterile, and don't tell me they aren't giving this stuff to minors. There are all kinds of articles out there of 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and 16-year-olds getting this treatment. Back to the date with Jonathan and Domain. This next part happens right after Jonathan says he likes Domain, followed by a really long, awkward pause.
Really?
Yeah, really. Not gonna lie.
I know, right? Don't you just hate liars?
Oh, yeah.
Let me do this Kathy Newman style. So you're saying that you hate yourself. And yes, that is probably subconsciously what Domain is saying, and there's a lot of evidence of that in the documentary. It's an old cliche, but hurt people, and people typically don't participate in the kind of manipulation that Domain is participating in unless they have a really negative self-image. Again, all of that can be fixed with psychological counseling, and if you feel like that, please go get help. Honestly, you have no idea how much better your life can get when you start fixing your mental health. All of these negative thoughts or anger that drag you down all day can be removed if you get treatment. After this obvious projection, Domain starts to feel guilty and she ends the date. That's when we get the kiss scene. I already showed it to you, so I'm not going to show it again. Let's just skip to the section where Domain reveals the truth.
This one. My cousins have been pushing me to tell him my secret, and it's making me feel incredibly guilty.
I still hold them accountable for not telling Jonathan before the date, but at least they pushed Domain into being honest. In this next part, you can really tell that Domain very rarely has serious conversations, or does whatever she can to avoid them. Just know that this is not the way to bring up a serious topic.
With integrity and consistency, your credits are piling up.
Speaking about integrity. Integrity is like honesty, right?
Yeah.
I remember how you told me you hate liars.
Mm-hmm.
I lie a lot.
I don't like where this is going. Are you gonna tell me you're married or something?
Google probably has a secret video that they took with my laptop webcam of me losing my mind while watching this part. When you bring up a serious topic, you don't say, "Wow, that fortune cookie brought up a really good segue into me telling you that I've been deceiving you this whole time." Usually with a serious conversation, you want to get it done right away. Don't plan a meal and do it after you.
Riverside is like the Midwest, but in South Cal. Constantly 10 to 15 years behind. Also a lot of apolitical... Oh, a lot of apolitical to full-on MAGA types. Gotcha.
You eat, because that's just going to cause you to have an anxiety attack and you'll be too afraid to do it by the time the meal's over. The better version of this conversation looks like this. "Hey, can we talk? There's something I've been afraid to say, and now that we're getting..."
Oh, interesting. Add to that, back in the 90s, it was a regular thing for gay people to come from places like Riverside, Covina, and Bastow to LA to get away from their homophobic cousins. Yeah. Not that big of a stretch from the 90s to 2011.
Getting closer, I can't keep it a secret anymore. I haven't been honest with you. Then you say what you need to say. The conversation should go something like that, and it should be said right away. If serious conversation is not something you're comfortable with, that's not a big deal. You just have to practice it. But it's important because if you cannot have a serious conversation, then you will not be able to create real relationships.
I lied.
Lied about what?
I'm not pausing this video again. I can't do it. It's so painful.
About something that could potentially, I don't know, devastate you.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm a transgender.
What? Does that mean you were born a man?
I'm sorry.
Wow.
You can actually hear Domain's anxiety from the bag crumpling ASMR she did at the start of that last clip.
What? they're not hooked up for sound. That was from a boom mic. I was
to
born
shill
a
for
baby.
therapy again.
Hell yeah.
One of the things that therapy teaches you is how to have difficult conversations. You go there to sit down in a room and talk about all the stuff that you were unwilling to say in front of other people in your life. This gives you practice at doing that so that you know how to open up to people.
Yeah, this talk
Some
can be
people get that
scary.
from their friend groups in childhood and are well practiced at it by the time they are adults. But don't
Wait, this has nothing to do with like opening up to your friends or family or whatever. This is something that can literally cut someone immediately out of your life. Like, coming out as trans, like, determines, like, can, for some people, determine whether or not they choose to be associated with you. Yeah, he has no idea how this social interaction works.
friends, so she would need an experience like therapy to help
or worse, they could hurt you.
Help catch her up to her peers in that social skill. After Domain tells the truth, obviously Jonathan doesn't care about the idea that she is trans by itself, though he does look pretty mad that she didn't tell him right
We don't know that. We haven't seen that part yet.
away, especially considering what happened at the end of their second date.
You should have told me this when I started talking to you, or when we started going out. I'm not really looking for that. You know, I do plan on like wanting to have kids in the future. Any future between me and you obviously wouldn't include that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, that's the world's changing, and that's the way. I mean, that's the way the world is these days.
I think he handled that pretty well. I mean, I wouldn't have been violent, but I would not have been so calm.
I love when people say this, by the way. I had a friend say this to me once, and it's just like, I'm glad that you wouldn't have been violent, but yeah, it definitely leads me to be like, I don't believe you. I think you would be violent. You're so angry that the first thing you have to say is that I wouldn't be violent, but yeah, you'd want to kill me. That's fucking wild to just admit.
I would have been really pissed, and so would most other straight men. There's a reason Super Straight was
What? Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. No, straight men fucking love trans women, okay? Straight men fucking love trans women. I know we're getting into the super straight, but straight men fucking love trans women. Okay? The amount of men, cis straight men, that I've had in my DMs, I've had actual honest to God Republicans in my Instagram DMs. And when I say Republicans, I don't mean people who voted Republican. I mean, like, Republicans at the state level, okay? Literal, honest-to-God Republican politicians working publicly to end trans rights, okay? Straight men love trans women. They just don't want to admit to loving trans women because they don't want to be perceived by other men as liking trans women. Because they think other men might think that they are gay. And to a lot of cis straight men, being perceived by other men as being gay is one of the worst things that could ever happen to them.
trending a while ago. Setting that aside, it turns out that Domain wasn't...
Yeah, Super Straight started trending a while ago because of transphobes.
Entirely honest again. It turns out that she did sort of have a friend. Benefit of the doubt, it could have just been a school acquaintance that she never invited into her personal life, so I guess that wouldn't technically be a friend. Anyway, Domain has a birthday party, and she invites Jonathan to it. Obviously, he makes an excuse for why he can't go, But Domain also invites her friend from college and reveals her secret to her.
I trust you very, very much.
You're making me nervous. Like,
I was born a guy. I'm a transgender.
I don't care. I really don't care.
Yeah. Well, one, because the gender dynamics are different here. And two, because they're friends and not in a romantic relationship.
What a shock. She doesn't care. And looking at the end card from the episode, it says that Domain has received a ton of support. So all that lying was pointless. And let me reiterate that this has nothing to do with...
It's not lying. It's just not telling people up front, which is totally fine. This is, by the way, this is almost like saying, and it's not an exact one-to-one, but it's almost like saying, hey you cisgender men, you need to start telling the people you're dating that you're into tentacle hentai, okay? You need to tell them that you're into tentacle hentai right off the bat. Otherwise, you're lying and coercing them and basically raping them when you go on a date. Like, it's ridiculous. Someone being trans has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you are attracted to them.
Tolerance from society at large. That was our...
Yeah, like, you can definitely, like, if the topic of, like, children comes up, you can talk about being, like, infertile, but that has nothing to do with you being trans, per se.
Already achieved before this was filmed, and there's a ton of proof of that.
Is your Bible black?
This was all about her early childhood experiences and the conditioning from that, not about societal beliefs. But
no, your idea about childhood conditioning is contingent on like 2 sentences from this video, both of which were then like countered.
But I will humor her. It's been 10 years. Maybe something bad has happened during that time period. Let's pull up her Wikipedia page. It says that Domain is a Filipino, Caucasian, Spanish, Pacific Islander, Native American...
Oh my god, she has an entire Wikipedia page? Oh, she was expelled from the California Baptist University. Oh my god. She was... He's arguing that no one cared. She was literally expelled from her university for being outed as trans. What the fuck? It's at the very top of the page.
And Chinese heritage, but mostly identifies as Filipino. What a horribly offensive and transphobic article. They misgendered her twice. Domain is a Filipina, not a Filipino. Or, if you want to be really inclusive, she's a Filipinx. Somebody please cancel the person who wrote this Wikipedia page. Let's continue. It says she graduated valedictorian from high school despite bullying. Welcome to life. Everyone gets bullied in high school. That would be a normal experience. High school faculties are generally terrible at managing bullies. She got a nursing degree at Riverside. She was in Captain America 2. Wow, that's pretty good. I can see her birth year is wrong. She was 22 during True Life, so her birth year should be 1989 or 1988. Finally, here's a single example where someone cared that Domain is trans. She was supposed to transfer to California Baptist University.
Oh, there we go.
A Christian school, but was denied entry after the True Life episode, stating that she committed fraud on her application by saying that she was female. It says gender here on the Wikipedia page, but the LGBT crowd is always saying that sex and gender are different, so I wonder if the application actually said sex. If it did, then by both the LGBT and Christian standards, that would be a lie. But why this school? Why would Domain specifically put herself in one of the only places where she has a high likelihood of not being accepted? Particularly considering that she came out on television, so every...
Oh my god. Is he gonna be conspiratorial and say that she knew she was gonna get expelled and planned to sue the school to profit? That this is like duplicitous transness?
I know it's not fair, and I don't agree with the values of the school if her being trans...
Yeah, it's because it's close to Riverside.
This is why they denied her, but I want to use this to point out that very commonly, people who have mental health issues will put themselves in situations like this where people won't accept them as a method of avoiding closeness. We watched Domain do that the entire episode. So that's a part of it, but in all fairness, there does seem to be a religious component as a factor in her reasoning.
The Philippines are predominantly Catholic because they were colonized by Spain. Yeah, she's probably Catholic.
Domain says this.
Guide me, Lord.
I don't think this situation should be too much of a surprise. She kissed a man on television without informing him that she is a biological male. In Christianity, that's a sin. So of course...
What? No. There's no... What? There's nothing in the Bible that says a man can't kiss a man. What the fuck? Now, you might be able to argue that there's something in the Bible about a man fucking a man, but there's nothing in the Bible about kissing other men. Jesus kissed men. Jesus kissed men. Jesus... Fuck, dude. Yarrow Flower, thank you for subscribing. Fuck. Oh, God.
Private university is going to be mad about that, and since they are a private business, they don't have to admit her. The judge mostly agreed with that and said that she couldn't attend classes at the California Baptist campus. However, Domain was still allowed to take online courses at the school and was awarded $4,000. Now,
wait. The college was entitled to exclude trans. A judge ruled that as a private religious institution, the college was entitled to exclude transgender people from its in-person classes, but that it must not discriminate against them for its for-profit businesses and services open to the public, including online classes, and awarded her $4,000 in damages plus costs. Oh, God.
this value is eroding in the modern day, and grifters have been using the LGBT movement to remove this right. But if you run your own business, you have the right to refuse service.
No. Yeah, but not on the grounds of someone's identity. You, like, the legal ruling that you literally just read out was that it was exempt from from a religious perspective on the grounds of the university, but that it couldn't deny its publicly facing for-profit services from her, which is why she was allowed to take the online classes.
This principle is called freedom of association. If you don't want to bake a gay wedding cake, the government should not be able to force you to bake a gay wedding cake. Forcing private businesses to serve customers is wrong. You may not agree.
Forcing those poor whites-only diners to serve blacks, that's wrong, according to this guy.
With the school refusing to serve that particular customer, I certainly don't. If I'm running a business, you have money and aren't causing my business problems like damaging the property or stealing, then I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I want your money. But I definitely have the right to choose whether to serve you or not, because forcing me to do labor I don't want to do, or forcing me to work for someone...
Yeah, we live in a society where no one is forced to do labor that they don't want to do. Our society would definitely never coerce someone into performing labor they don't want to do. Definitely not something that capitalism does every day, all the time.
For sounds a lot like slavery. However, these
insert Coconut Island here.
Activist groups promoting things like slavery should be no surprise because tons of them act like complete bullies. They do this in the form of crybullying, where
yes, the transgender crybullies.
they pretend that people are harming them to garner a supportive audience who will then attack the people that the crybullies say they are being oppressed by. Allow me to point you to this video by Truly. In terms of woke propaganda, Truly is the channel that just keeps on giving. The video is titled, "My Trans Girlfriend Doesn't Make Me Gay."
True.
Yet another example of media companies trying to shame men for not wanting to date trans women.
Wait, how does pointing out that dating a trans woman, if you're a cis straight man, doesn't make you gay, shaming cis straight women into dating trans women? How is this propaganda to shame cis straight men? Yeah, saying something isn't gay is now shaming, apparently.
Which is weird, because if I bully or shame a woman into a relationship with me, they would call that abuse. But
what the fuck? My wife's trans, we don't see ourselves as a gay couple, we see ourselves as a couple. That's moronic. Yeah, of course it's moronic. If you're a cis man dating a trans woman, you're straight. You're attracted to her because she's a woman.
But a title suggesting a man is transphobic or shaming him for not wanting to date a biological male, pre-op or post-op, is perfectly fine.
I need him to explain what the shame element is here.
Strange how these people never seem to consistently follow any of their principles. As for the video, I would like you to pay attention to this part here. The trans woman it covers is a YouTuber named Victoria Rose. She and her boyfriend Chris met on Tinder, and the video talks about their relationship. In one of the scenes, they pull out a laptop and start reading some negative comments from Victoria's channel. I want to focus on this part because it seems to be designed to display that she should get extra protection from mean comments because she is trans.
Sure.
Thus, it's crybullying. Hello. Welcome to being a content creator on YouTube. Every creator gets negative comments. Every creator gets dislikes on their videos. If you are saying that you should get to live in a fantasy world where nothing bad ever happens because of your identity group, then that would be discrimination. Let's take a look at some of these negative comments.
But the couple have come up against a lot of prejudice about their relationship, due to Victoria being part of the trans community.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So my YouTube channel, I get a lot of support, but I also certainly get some people commenting, you know, man, ugly, fat. You know, my favorite one is fake vajayjays, grotesque. Have one saying, can I just point out the obvious here, not being rude, but just saying you will not be able to have a baby. Like, I do know.
Comment number 1, 0 likes, meaning that no one agrees. I'll tell you a little secret of the industry. Any creator can find a really bad comment about them that no one agrees with. If the makers of this video are trying to say that this is a societal problem where tons of people are spewing venom at trans people, then this isn't very good evidence. Second comment, also 0 likes. One reply that we can't see. More importantly, this is not a hate comment, it's a criticism about being honest with her potential partners. Then, she gets a proselytizing zealot. These people are in everyone's comment section, and they say things like this to literally every YouTuber. This comment is not even specific to Victoria being trans, including the part about Jesus being a man. I think it's man as in human, not specific to gender. This guy just appears to be asking people to recognize Jesus as their savior in a really, really annoying way. Honestly, this looks like a spam comment that this guy just posts on every channel. No likes, 40 replies, so he got ratioed. I guarantee you that most, if not all, those comments are dunking on this guy. 2 more comments. Hey, we actually found a comment that has likes on it, and it appears to be a compliment. It's probably something that she views as backhanded, but it doesn't look like this person was trying to be malicious.
Is he trying to argue that someone saying you're pretty hot for a dude to a trans woman isn't malicious and maliciously transphobic? Go back? Oh my god. Please tell me when to stop. Okay, go back a minute. Okay. Is this far enough, chat? Did I miss too far? Okay, well,
support, but I also certainly get some people commenting, you know, man, ugly, fat, you know. My favorite one is fake the JJ's grotesque. Have one saying, can I just point out the obvious here, not being rude, but just saying you will not be able to have a baby. Like, I do know.
Comment number 1, 0 likes, meaning that no one agrees.
Yes, telling a trans woman, fake vajayjay, grotesque. Definitely not something that a lot of transphobes believe.
I'll tell you a little secret of the industry. Any creator can find a really bad comment about them that no one agrees with. If the makers of this video are trying to say that this is a societal problem where tons of people are spewing venom at trans people, then this isn't very good evidence. Also 0 likes. One reply that we can't see. More importantly, this is not a hate comment, it's a criticism about being honest with her potential partners. Then, she gets a proselytizing zealot. These people are in everyone's comment section, and they say things like literally every YouTuber. This comment is not even specific.
Dryer, I hardly know her.
To Victoria being trans, including the part about Jesus being a man. I think it's man as in human, not specific to gender. This guy just appears to be asking people to recognize Jesus as their savior in a really, really annoying way. Honestly, this looks like a...
Wait, this comment. Jesus Christ is a man, and he died a man, and he rose a man. He's the savior of our souls, but he won't save you if you don't even know him.
This guy just posts on every channel. No likes, 40 replies, so he got ratioed. I guarantee you...
Wait, that's not how a ratio works. Think before you sleep. That's not how a ratio works. A ratio isn't when you get a lot of replies to something.
That most, if not all, those comments are dunking on this guy. 2 more comments. Hey, we actually found a comment that has likes on it, and it appears to be a compliment. It's probably something that...
Yes, telling a trans woman you're pretty hot for a dude, laugh emoji, is definitely a big compliment.
She views as backhanded, but it doesn't look like this person was trying to be malicious. Last one, also, no likes.
I worry about the comments that she gets on YouTube, mostly because it's just totally unnecessary slander for her, and it obviously doesn't feel good to get a bunch of comments calling you a dude or man or whatever.
When I see the hate comments, it makes me frustrated that the trans community is being targeted like this, but honestly, people can go ahead and try to invalidate me, but nobody can validate me as a woman other than me.
What exactly is problematic about this? Are you saying that we should destroy free speech over 2 hate comments that...
What? No. She's saying that we should make society better somewhat so people stop being so transphobic. The argument isn't that we need less free speech.
No one agreed with? Because that's what these kinds of videos are used for. Just ignore the comments. Actually, I did some investigation into her YouTube channel, and I found Victoria saying you can just ignore the comments.
I have been on Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, since I was a teenager. So I'm very used to getting comments and hate comments.
Yeah, you can ignore the comments. That's how trans women online survive. But it'd be also nice if there were just less bigots by, you know, educating people. I'd like to let everyone know that my girlfriend was pre-bottom surgery, and before someone asks, how did you not know? It's because her relationship was based on love, not sex. She had plans to complete her transition, but sadly, yeah.
Comments and stuff and letting it just roll off like water off a duck's back. So if you're watching this and you're trans and you have someone bullying you, sending you hate messages, I just want to tell you, them, that is 100% a reflection on them and not you. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
Exactly. That's how you handle negative comments. Even Chris says he just ignores the bullying.
How bad is the stigma behind trans people dating, and is your boyfriend bothered by it?
I don't give a rat's ass what anyone thinks of me. I'm also not the type to care about my masculinity. Go ahead and call me gay behind my back. I don't give a... I don't care.
Alpha bitch.
I really haven't seen evidence that Victoria got bullied more than anyone else would because she's trans. One of the examples of bullying that Victoria talks about on her channel is being spit on. Kids spitting on each other or flinging boogers is not uncommon.
What? What? I'm sorry. One of the examples of bullying that Victoria talks about on her channel is being spit on. I don't think she's referring to other kids spitting on her. I think she's referring to full-grown adults.
Spit on. Kids spitting on each other or flinging boogers is not uncommon. She also said she was called gay and the F word. I don't know about children in the current day, but in my time, I didn't know a kid who wasn't called gay or the F word.
Yeah, and maybe making the word gay mean a derogatory thing for young people was bad. Maybe using the F slur in a derogatory way towards gay people was bad. Jesus.
Being called gay or an F isn't special, so I'm still not sure how being trans made Victoria's bullying any different from the kids who weren't trans. Of course, bullying sucks and kids shouldn't do it, but this is a fairly normal experience. Victoria says on her channel that she was bullied every day, but that again—
Wait, if he's 17, I do not believe— If he's 17 and he would have grown up in... he would have been born in 2005? He would have been growing up, in the 2010s? This was after people were commonly using the F slur and calling things gay to mean bad.
Is still fairly normal, and there are tons of non-trans kids who get bullied just like that. Of course it's not right,
He's actually not
but the
17.
Truly video
Well,
is framing this
okay.
as Victoria receives an amount of bullying that is outside of what non-trans kids experience. Likely—
Yes, trans people experience more bigotry than non-trans kids. But also, we need to understand social reactions to people in an intersectional way, which means recognizing that racism and classism both play a role as well. Fuck.
as a ploy for special treatment and a crackdown on free speech principles.
Yes, the transes want special treatment.
The problem is that they haven't shown any actual proof that this is out of the norm. The people involved just feel like it's out of the norm. We also most certainly don't have evidence that she received any more hate on YouTube than the average YouTuber. Now, the great thing about watching roughly half of Victoria's content is I found a video where she says that the people filming the interview with her and her boyfriend told them to make their experience more dramatic to fit the narrative.
I mean, what you got to understand is there were videographers there that are, I mean, the show is called Love, Don't Judge. So they're egging you on to talk about judgment that you face specifically for being, you know, either trans or disabled or, you know.
Damn, you mean reality TV seeks to show heightened reality? Crazy, bro. Crazy, bro. That's wild. It's like this is an alien discovering television for the first time.
Whatever person they have featured on their series.
This is like watching Survivor season 57 and assuming that like everyone is just like, this is just how humans act.
You know, so the question was, how do you feel about the trans community being targeted like this? And I had to restate the question to my answer. That's funny though. I remember seeing this and being like, all right, that's a lot.
So they did that sales thing where they ask a question in a way that forces you to give them the answer they want. That's not manipulative.
Yeah, this guy read the word reality in reality TV and thought that it actually meant it was real.
At all. Truly, Victoria and her boyfriend Chris are all at fault here. Victoria and Chris—
How is it their fault for going on a show? What? What is even their fault?
Could have just played along by showing the comments, fine. But then they gave their "I'm being oppressed" speech, when the reality is that
trans people are being oppressed. We literally don't have the same rights as cis people.
Timestamps from multiple videos where they're saying they don't care about the negativity. They lied, and now videos like the Love Don't Judge video from Truly are going to be used to take away people's ability to speak freely because videos like that are designed to shift the culture.
What? Yes, you see, this reality show on this YouTube channel is going to shift the conversation and eliminate all free speech. Truly, this is the Nazi propaganda of our time.
Against free speech. And if you think that just includes censoring a few bad people making negative comments about trans people, then you don't know history.
Oh my
this
God.
always moves towards silencing political opposition.
Oh my god. Oh my god. He's actually talking about, he's actually going to go and like make the equivalency between the Nazis. I was joking. He's going to do it for real.
And it already has. Anyone who gives an argument against anything the LGBT crowd says is immediately called a transphobe. Even when
Yeah. If you aren't accepting trans people, you're a transphobe. It's really simple.
they are making simple criticisms like, I don't think kids should be allowed to take drugs that sterilize them.
Kids aren't allowed to take drugs that sterilize them.
They should wait until they're adults.
They do.
It doesn't matter how nicely you say that. It doesn't matter if you say you aren't bothered by trans people and it's fine if they want to behave like the opposite sex. You will still be called transphobic, and whether or not they can actually prove you are intolerant of trans people does not matter, because the word transphobic is merely a political tool to silence people who have opinions they don't like.
Unfortunately, and I know this guy is going to be thrown for a loop on this one, calling someone a transphobe doesn't shut them up forever. Because Ben Shapiro still says the shit he says. Okay? All the transphobes continue being transphobic. Good night, Nenya the cat. Get good sleep.
That sounds a lot like bullying. Speaking of domain situation, Victoria also believes that it's okay to have sexual contact with a straight man without disclosing she's trans.
It's true. Trans women are under no obligation to disclose that they are trans.
That's not okay. It's sexual assault. I will give her credit though, because while she admits she did this in the past to what sounds like multiple people, her current narrative on this is that trans women should always tell men about their sexual identity before engaging in sexual contact. However,
yeah, for their own safety.
As for the guy she said she, quote, hooked up with and admits to kissing, she still doesn't seem to feel like what she did was wrong or that she had to disclose her status to him.
Today's video is all about my experience with a boy who didn't know that I was transgender. He grabs me by my chin to pull me in for a kiss. So he kissed me goodnight. The moral of the story is honesty is always the best policy. While I wasn't hiding or tricking him into anything, because this was a part of my private medical history.
No, that's not okay.
Yes, it is. He was attracted to her. He went in for the kiss. It's not like she was like, don't worry, baby, I'm cisgender, and then like smooched him. He smooched her because he was attracted to her.
I mean, knowing that you have an STD as a part of your medical history and not disclosing that information before you have sex with someone is a crime. Now,
yeah, but she's not talking about having sex with someone. She's talking about a goodnight kiss. And also, if you have a vagina as a trans woman, you don't have to disclose that you're trans. You can't catch trans. There's nothing... You're not going to be transed by sexing a trans person.
Now, whether trans people not disclosing before sexual contact is legally a crime or not is debatable. I have found a few examples of convictions for this behavior, but the point is, Victoria knows that straight men aren't okay with this because
straight men are okay with trans women. Source. All trans women that I know have men in their DMs begging for sex. Myself included.
Has withheld the information in the past so she doesn't get rejected.
First of all, if I were to meet someone and go on a first date with them, if I go into it telling them that I'm transgender, that is going to just be all they see of me.
That was a very PC way of saying he will reject me. Like I said, I'm going to give her a pass on this because she doesn't do the behavior anymore, and because she tells her following to disclose their status. She also says she reveals that she's trans on her Tinder profile, so she no longer is doing that first date thing where she lies by omission, and then waits until the end of the first date to reveal that she's trans, where there is more social pressure against rejection. So that's good. I say this in a lot of videos because I do want to make sure that people understand that when someone does something wrong, they aren't guilty forever, especially if they are righting that wrong with changed behavior. By the way, for transparency, I have to leave reference links in the description to prove that these things were actually said.
Yeah, transness isn't contagious. Unless...
And to prove that I'm not taking things out of context. Allow me to remind everyone that those links aren't there so you can go spew venom at other creators. It's certainly not in my interest to promote a culture where every creator's fan...
Can we... Briefly, we will slow him down, but also I'm speeding him up.
I'll start attacking other creators because someone made a video. So do not attack Victoria or any other creator I make videos about. The purpose of this channel is to bring up modern issues and hopefully bring people together by finding some common ground. We aren't here to participate in petty drama. Writing a bunch of hate comments on someone else's channel does absolutely nothing other than fuel your own ego in the same way that Domain fueled her ego by lying to men so she wouldn't feel lonely. None of that actually results in changed behavior. In fact, doing such a thing will just push your opposition further into the beliefs that you disagree with. Changed beliefs come by showing good character, making good arguments, and being fair. Getting back to Victoria, in all fairness, she gets...
What was all of this? I feel like he's invalidated his points several times. See ya, good night, Dr. Bees.
Pass on her past behavior because now she is technically doing the right thing. My only problem is that she is not doing it because she regrets what she did and is sorry. She's doing it out of self-interest.
I by no means suggest that you should not tell guys you're transgender. I think disclosure is always the safest option.
Yes, it's the safest option. What about the moral one? Victoria, if men didn't see this as an extreme...
Morality is something that is afforded to folks who survive. Trans women are just trying to live and not be murdered, which is why a lot of them don't disclose. Or, alternatively, a lot of trans people, myself included, reveal at the very beginning. Because that's also either complete non-reveal or revealing up front. Those are the two safest options. Not really a moral question. Trans women are operating on what is safest.
Boundary violation, then you wouldn't be afraid of them getting so mad that they would become physically violent. Think of it this way. You said you got bullied in high school because people knew you were transgender. Not once in all the content I watched did you ever describe a real physical assault outside of maybe spitting. All of it was emotional abuse. Again, still wrong, but what it is saying is that those people didn't put you in physical danger, so there must be something extra you were doing to provoke a more extreme response. And as a content creator myself, unless you have a really good reason, there is no way I believe that you would not have told that story if you actually got physically assaulted for being trans. That would get you a massive amount of views and support. Trust me, I know that Victoria, just like every other YouTuber with a sizable following, is not above doing what it takes to get views.
Seems to... Hey, fun fact, transgender people are over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to be victims of violent crime. That's statistics, okay? We're 4 times more likely to be assaulted than cisgender folks. The fear is real. The fear is very, very real. Even if individually we don't have, like, we haven't been assaulted, collectively, because of our support networks, our friend networks, tend to rely heavily on other trans people. We know people who have been assaulted or murdered for being trans. I know trans people who've been assaulted. Thankfully, I don't know any trans people who've been murdered, but unfortunately, I know far too many trans people who have been physically assaulted and sexually assaulted. And it's scary shit being out in the world.
Really, I mean, to take this for views, of course, the same reason why I'm making this.
Welcome to YouTube. We're all here to get views. Every content creator's job is to get people to pay attention to them. More importantly, it would be very difficult to get me to believe that Truly, who you said pushed you into being more dramatic, would not have pushed you into telling a story like that. It would be extremely stupid on their part if their goal is to get views. That being said, what exactly have you done differently to push a demographic of men who were never physically violent before into physical violence? They must feel like they were deeply wronged. While I don't think that violence is the answer...
Yes, but them feeling deeply wronged is a result of their socialization including a hefty element of homophobia, which you point out in this video. This guy points out in the video that people, and men in particular, are extremely homophobic. He talks about how people say the word faggot and call each other that for bullying commonly. He points out how people call each other gay in a negative context. He talks about the fear of being perceived as gay by dating a trans woman, hence the super straight movement. He talks about this already and still fails to see how cis straight men, might possibly get extremely violently angry at finding out that they have just been on a date with a trans person. Instead, it has to be, well, that trans person did something to deserve that violence. Yeah, he's blaming the trans women for the violence. Literally the, why are you making me do this, of physical and sexual assault.
I do think that people are allowed to have their preferences. Victoria certainly has her preferences. She says she won't date gay men.
From that point on, I just stopped dating girls and only focused on men. I dated and interacted with some of the gay boys that I went to school with, and while they were all mostly very nice, I just wasn't into them because I wasn't into gay men, and I'm still not clearly interested in gay men.
Victoria is not the only trans person who has her preferences. I have another trans YouTuber, Adia Danielle, saying most trans people don't want to date other trans people.
Would you date
That's definitely not true.
a trans man?
T for T trans dating is like the most common form of dating.
So a lot of trans girls would answer so fast and say no, which I think is so stupid because like you're asking straight cis men to like accept you, and then you're not even gonna accept trans guys.
Yes, that is hypocritical, isn't it? Fine with me though. People are allowed to have their preferences. If transgender people don't want to date other transgender people, that's okay. You shouldn't be forced to date someone you don't want to date. Oddly enough, in an attempt to shame men who don't want to date trans women, this YouTuber actually ends up calling transgender people transphobic.
So when a guy sees my outside, which is the part that was wrong when I was born, and he likes me and he wants to get to know me, and then I tell him that I'm trans, and then his whole idea of me changes, that's like a little bit transphobic.
Saying someone's dating preferences makes them a bad person is about as nonsense as someone being called a bad person because they like...
No. If you're looking at someone in public and you're like, damn, they fine, okay? And you walk up to them and you're like, hey girl, how you living? Hey dude, how you living? That's how people talk to dudes. Or hey friendo, how you doing? Okay? You're attracted to them on the outside, okay? You're attracted to them on the outside, and either you are making an assumption about their genital situation, or you're going to ask, okay? And not all dudes are black. I know. Or they're going to ask, okay? If they don't ask and they're making the assumption, and their assumption is correct because you've had bottom surgery, right? And then you tell them that you're trans, and the only reason they are not attracted to you is because you're trans, even though you meet their attractiveness standards, you meet their preferences for genitals, and it's fine to have a genital preference. It's fine to have a genital preference. But trans people can meet your genital preference. So, if the only reason you're denying someone or your attraction to someone is because they're trans, yes, that is transphobic.
Chocolate ice cream, but not vanilla. Of course, since it's the theme of the video, I must point out that this YouTuber also believes it's okay to have sexual contact with a straight man before disclosing that she's trans.
Do you tell guys that you're trans right away? I don't. A lot of people think that I should, and me and my friends, we went out and we brought home some guys, and I hadn't told him that I was trans. And my friend was starting, we were drunk and we were starting to have fun.
I'm guessing that all these trans people expect us to respect their boundaries, so please respect straight people's boundaries. Like I said, it's great.
Trans women and straight men are attracted to each other if they're both straight.
Great that some trans women like Victoria are telling people to disclose their identity, but stop telling them that violating people's sexual boundaries is not immoral. It's sexual assault. All right, enough of that. Let's get back to Victoria's channel and let's get back to mental health, because mental health is all about maintaining proper boundaries. Everyone makes mistakes and screws up socially. That's not a problem. However, it is a problem when people make large boundary violations, and when people start making large boundary violations, I start asking questions about early childhood history. Now, finding information about Victoria's childhood was extremely difficult. That's the reason I watched so many of her videos. I basically watched almost everything that was not a makeup tutorial. What I did find is that Victoria most certainly experienced some bad stuff as a child. Even if she doesn't say what happened, I've listened to tons of...
You watched all of her videos to figure out what she was up to as a child? That's weird as shit.
People talk about their mental health and their early history. People follow very predictable patterns, and I have a pretty good idea of what was likely the worst thing that happened. However, Victoria seems very intent on not sharing this information, so I will respect that boundary and not say what I think happened in her past. She may just not want to share it because she wants to keep certain parts of her life personal, which I see no problem with. Or she may not want to share it because that's not something that she's ready for yet.
Hey, Metal Kitty Mom, same. Up top.
I will say this, though. If you are not sharing this information because you can't talk about
God,
it, even to people who are
almost
close to you like
done,
your boyfriend, then you need to go back to treatments. A part of recovery is being able to talk about this kind of stuff. So I'm not going to throw in my prediction based on the patterns that I've seen, but I will show proof of Victoria stating that she had a bad childhood.
But I had
Imagine, like, going out on a date with a super hot woman, and, like, she takes off her pants, and she got a cute little girl dick, and, like, you be like, ugh, disgusting, goodbye, instead of going like, damn, that's hot as shit. Imagine!
Old upbringing, so.
She also talks about some of the mental health issues that she's experienced.
I told my parents that I wanted to go to therapy. I wanted to go to therapy for
Thrillby, send me, or LB, send me a message on Discord. I want to maybe get you to do some progressive, like some heart emotes for like people who subscribe, where they like get progressively more buff, and I think that'd be really cute. And I like every month someone subscribed, the little heart smiley thing gets a little bit more buff. I like that idea a lot. I liked your emote a lot. Send me a message on Discord. Do you mean the subscriber badge? Yeah, I mean the subscriber badge. I've been meaning to like try and get better like progressive art to like reward people who've been subscribed for longer. And I think that'd be really cool.
for so many different reasons because I definitely had a lot of other issues. I had an eating disorder for years. I self-harmed. I just hated my body and myself so much. I wish I could explain to you how much I absolutely hated myself.
Anorexia and self-harm are some pretty severe issues because both of those things can kill you. There are many other problems that she talked about, but these were the most severe. Usually if you get to the point of anorexia, a lot of other things are going wrong, so I'll say what I said with Domain. Victoria, I'm sorry that you had to go through something so bad that it would lead you to wanting to hurt yourself. And for those people who haven't experienced deep self-hatred, it's like torture. It's so bad that running a razor blade across your arms or legs to help numb the pain seems like a good idea. She didn't deserve that, which is why people who harm children are the worst kinds of people. The damage far transcends the initial abuse. Victoria said,
You don't gotta panic. I liked the emote you made for me. It's very cute.
Therapy for those issues, which is great. That was a smart choice. She said that she noticed that she was having problems and went and got help. That is exactly what should be done. Do not ignore mental health issues. That will destroy years of your life. Unfortunately, Victoria states that she only went to therapy for a year. As someone who said that she has a lot of psychological problems, 1 year is not enough. Severe psychological problems take around 5 to 10 years of mental health work to resolve or learn how to manage. The reason it's like that is because while
Awooga is the sound they make when they're basically drowning on too much air.
pathological behaviors may go away for a little while after the initial treatment, they have a tendency to come back if they aren't treated with the proper amount of time and effort. After watching her videos, I can tell that Victoria is still experiencing mental health issues that need treatment. For example, Victoria has a little bit of sociopathy with the boundary violations between her and the straight man that she had sexual contact with in the past. She hasn't shown me anything that makes me believe that she thinks those people have their own feelings and ideas, just like it was with Domain. More importantly, Victoria currently has some pretty strong anxiety issues. This is a video of Victoria
Yeah, well look guys, he's obviously a mental health expert. He's listened to a lot of podcasts. And he's had some friends talk to him about their mental health problems. It's a lot, you know, that basically makes him a psychologist. He's also never seen a human woman, so, you know, that makes him an expert.
Talking about people noticing things that don't make her look feminine.
Like, if you say to a trans friend, like, oh my god, you're so pretty, like, I would never
Fire
marry trans.
Emblem,
Well,
thank you
I
for
mean, maybe the nose kind of gives you
subscribing.
away. Or like, oh, maybe, like, I think you could probably work on the voice, but other than that, like, it's fine. Guess what? For the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month, who knows? We are going to be thinking about that one thing and how we're like, well, it might be pretty, but Allison thinks I need a new nose.
I understand that you want to pass as a woman, but I've listened to you say in multiple videos that people who don't know you can't tell you're trans. So at this point, there's no need to freak out.
If we get you to level 5, will you take the manatee off? No, because I took off my leggings to put this on. So no, I can take off the top. I can take it off my arm part. That would be fine.
For weeks or months because one little thing is off. You shouldn't be feeling that way, and with a good therapist, you don't have to feel that way.
Yeah, it's called dysphoria. This guy just doesn't know what dysphoria is.
That's the great thing about treating your mental health. You can learn how to manage the negative thoughts, the depression, and the anxiety so that they aren't constantly bothering you and influencing your life. This is why talking about mental health is so important, because if you have large groups of activists and mainstream media saying that everything is about the surgery, then the people who need to hear it the most don't get crucial information about how mental health works.
Yeah,
I don't have good if you have lots of problems, it's going to take you years to train yourself on how to deal with them. But as I said earlier, I don't think the big groups want people to know about mental health, because when people are mentally healthy, it's really difficult to get them to do immoral things. While on the flip
LB, send me a message on Discord, please.
side, when people are not mentally healthy, it's very easy to get them to do immoral things. And that's where I think the LGBT movement is acting in bad faith. Let me clarify by saying I am specifically talking about the activists in the media portion, not all trans people. I've heard that quite a number of them do not like the media portrayal of them, or what the activists are doing, particularly with forcing people to use certain pronouns and getting rid of free speech. Outside of
Wait, no one's forcing anyone to use pronouns. But if you don't use trans woman's pronouns, yeah, you're transphobic. You're being a transphobic asshole. And it's a totally valid use of free speech to call you a transphobic asshole.
that, the majority of this movement that the average people see in their daily lives is not about helping people. It's about using the LGBT group as a political tool. I think that's done in two ways.
To do what?
The first bad faith thing that the activists are doing is using the LGBT movement to talk about things or allow children to engage in activities that are inappropriate. It's
I see. Yes. Giving sex ed to kindergarten onward prevents child sexual abuse, chat. If you're against this, you're literally in favor of children being raped. Goodness. Thank you for the level 1 hype train, folks. I appreciate y'all.
It's not appropriate to talk to a 5-year-old about sexual orientation. How many times have we seen that happen in classrooms? I mean,
and yeah, also you would want to get kids on puberty blockers around 10 years old, specifically because that leads to less bad effects of puberty blockers. And even then, like, puberty blockers don't have really long-lasting bad effects.
And when kids are that young, you don't tell them how babies are made and show them graphic detail about how the process works. That's
Jack
traumatic
Daniels
to them.
for a
When they
stage
ask, you
name?
say, I'll tell you when you're older.
I feel like Jack Daniels is like a really good acting name. Like if I got into like acting as like a trans woman, Jack Daniels is like a wonderful name. But I feel like for like a stripper name, Jack the Stripper is really hard to beat.
So when Nickelodeon makes a Blue's Clues song to talk about this with young children, or when Cartoon Network uses Steven Universe to talk about this with young children,
Steven Universe was literally a character who could fuse as a man, could fuse with women. How does it not, how would you not talk about gender in that show? That was literally a core conceit of the program.
it's not appropriate. And don't think this stuff is not intentional.
How is it not appropriate to talk with children about their gender identity? Children have a solidified gender identity usually around the age of 5. We've known this for like 50 years.
Activist groups aren't infiltrating schools on purpose to teach children inappropriate stuff. Project Veritas just did an expose on a California teacher.
Oh god. Yes, Project Veritas. A very reputable news organization. Definitely not a fucking joke that makes things like this.
who was an Antifa.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Definitely not a comedy organization that makes shit like this.
Those things out loud, but it's obvious.
Yourself.
It bleeds, it leads.
If it leads, it leads.
I think that's propaganda.
Twitter permanently suspended his account after he exposed hypocrisy
Definitely
and
not a
fraud
failed
at
actor.
CNN.
Project Veritas, a very controversial conservative group.
Promoting misinformation.
Times reported that the footage of Project Veritas was part of
according to Stanford researchers, a coordinated disinformation
disinformation. Sued the New York Times for defamation. Project Veritas just won a major victory in that case.
Come to you and offer you $100 million. You're not going to settle?
By the way, the man in the center of the screen is James O'Keefe, the head of Project Veritas and failed actor.
Tell them to go to hell.
I just can't believe that my face is on TV. Oligarchy, am I left or right? M-O-G, O-P. Oligarchy, do I have faith in truth? Does truth have faith in me?
James O'Keefe is suing Twitter for defamation.
Project taken down because they confronted a Facebook executive.
Take a video like that down, it would be due to a doxing concern.
Oh no, this is an actual music video put out by actual Project Veritas.
I can show you a video of CNN doing the exact same thing.
Twitter made factual statements about our client that are false.
Oligarchy, Twitter, CNN, Zuck is working with Dorsey. Oligarchy, give it, make believe. Was that what you wanted them to see? Oligarchy, do you bring lies? Does the bucket
James O'Keefe, who I think is a despicable person.
The judge said reporters interject their opinion.
Their opinions are
New York Times ripping over themselves. Now he's going to be suing Twitter. Not backing
Another defamation lawsuit, this time against fake news DMA.
But all of this fits into Project Veritas.
Promoting misinformation.
Some people want lies instead of being free.
Project Veritas, a conservative activist organization.
Polling does not decide the truth. Go speak to evidence.
Have you been defended? Yeah. Oligarchy.
Have you been defamed?
Oligarchy.
Please email Project Veritas now. Fuck, man. Yeah, this guy should definitely take Project Veritas seriously.
Supporter. That was.
Wait, that wasn't a meme? No, that's a real music video that real Project Veritas put out because James O'Keefe is a failed theater kid. And chat, it's not even the first music video that Project Veritas has put out. I think it's in here.
We wanted to kill a lot of these, and
right.
Had anything we are. Only Veritas actually, so not a hidden campus, and got bailed out. That Acorn employees giving you sort of tax assistance and shady tax assistance. I think everyone could have expected that. No one was surprised by what they saw. NPR executives
can put pressure. Talk about it. Award high standard.
We'll find it another time.
Intentionally using fear-mongering tactics to turn his students into radical terrorists.
I have 180 days to turn them into revolutionaries.
How do you do that? How do you scare the fuck out of them?
I probably, as far left as you can go. I have an Antifa flag on my wall.
They had a school board meeting about this teacher, Gabriel Geip, and it is inspiring. Check it out on YouTube. I linked it in the description. The parents of the students at this event are pissed at the school board for doing nothing about this teacher in the past, and teachers like him from other schools.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, and I also want to thank Project Veritas for exposing this, because without their due diligence, you guys would have done nothing, because you did nothing when these students complained.
Is that an SS Thunderbolt on her shirt? with the U.S. flag behind it, or is it just a U.S. flag Thunderbolt?
There were so many red flags. The man had an Antifa flag behind his desk. He had Chairman Mao in the fucking corner. Are you kidding me? The only two flags that should be in a classroom are that one and that one. Nothing else. Not only does his termination need to be taken effective immediately, but I believe a criminal investigation needs to happen immediately.
I have a lot of familiarity with school teachers in the area. I substitute in the San Juan school districts. This is not an isolated incident.
2 years ago, my youngest child graduated from Intercom High School. I can tell you that there is a culture of toxicity at this school, and we tried to address it during his attendance there. It is not just in the government classes that this toxicity and poison is occurring. It is in English classes. It is in art classes. We tried to address it through the proper chain of command, only to be told it would be taken care of. And here I am tonight, and he's graduated.
Oh, God. Oh, no. The gays are in our classrooms.
I was born in Venezuela. I do not want this place and this educational system to become Venezuela.
At the time I'm recording this, he's being investigated, but it looks like he's going to be fired thanks to Project Veritas. Unfortunately, the teacher said he wasn't the only one in the school who sympathized with his ideas. And thanks to lockdowns and Zoom classes, we know that a lot of other public school teachers have zero problems teaching their students radical ideas. On this subject, because we were talking about transgenderism in children, I want to say this next thing because a lot of people were telling me in a previous video I made that kids are not being given cross-hormone therapy. The people said that kids are being given puberty blockers to give them time to turn 18, and then if they still want to transition, they take a hormone.
No, kids are given puberty blockers until they're 16 or 15.
That is completely untrue. If you just do a simple Google search, you can find many examples of minors taking opposite sex hormones, which will sterilize them. In fact, Victoria is an example of this.
So when I was 14, I was seeing a therapist. I had let my therapist know that I was transgender and I wanted to come out to my family. And I got on hormones a couple, 2 months, I think, after I came out. I started my transition back when I was 14, and one of the first steps to physical transition is something called HRT, or hormone replacement therapy.
I haven't done
Yeah, that's fine.
the numbers on this, so it may only be a few kids who are doing it right now, but make no mistake, if no one says anything about it, then it will be normal to prescribe kids cross-hormone therapy. This isn't...
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine to prescribe kids at the age of puberty HRT because it starts the puberty process. Switchy Poo, thank you for the follow. And DeNovo Eve, thank you for the follow as well. I've missed the alert earlier.
This is an Overton window issue, and the reason why the media is writing stories about these events is because they're slowly trying to push the boundaries of what is socially acceptable so that sterilizing children becomes okay. It's not okay. And it's not just
It's not sterilizing children, it's just giving them the puberty that is healthiest for them.
mainstream media doing this. I have also seen big channels on YouTube promoting the use of cross-hormone therapy.
Also, HRT doesn't sterilize you? Like, trans men can still get pregnant? Trans women can still impregnate? It's just that while you're on HRT, especially as a trans woman, like, it just gets harder to you become less fertile. Like your body stops producing semen for the most part. But some trans women can go off HRT and get their fertility back. It depends. Your mileage may vary when it comes to sterilization, but it's definitely not true for trans men.
In children, and pretty much every channel with a transgender host I've watched has promoted the use of this medication for children. They are trying to make this the norm. In Victoria's case, I thought because she hadn't been on hormone blockers and because she had been through 3 or so years of puberty that she would still have a chance at maintaining her fertility. But apparently that's not how it works. The doctors told her it would make her infertile at 14 years old.
Did you have any anxiety about going on estrogen? Yes, I would say I was a little bit anxious because they were really drilling in my head that I would be infertile after.
I said this in the other video about hormone therapy, but doctors won't allow people in their 20s to sterilize themselves. A child though? No problem. In their defense, they say they do this to look more like their desired gender, but I don't care. Wait for better medication and wait for better surgeries.
Wait, you can't wait for better medication or wait for better surgeries. Because there are none, and if you wait, you're just going to you're going to miss your chance, and you're going to go through a puberty that is unhealthy for you, and drastically increase your likelihood to attempt suicide. You're bullying because I'm going to have to get ultra stoned after all this bullshit. I feel ya.
Children is wrong. The second area where I think the LGBT activists act in bad faith is that their groups are very commonly used to cancel people who have different political views.
Bullying
Look at
all
what happened to Gina Carano a few months ago. She made a political statement that the establishment didn't like, and she lost her job at Disney. The reason they were able to rally a lot of support for that attack is because
she lost her job because part of your job as an actor or an actress is promoting the film. And if you start saying shit like the Holocaust never happened or conservatives being called racist is worse than the Holocaust, yeah, you're actively harming the promotion of the films or television shows. So you get fired because that's part of your job.
the LGBT crowd kept bullying her to list her pronouns in her Twitter bio. She didn't want to, so she made like a Star Wars joke or something by saying her pronouns were boop, bop, beep. God forbid someone made a joke. I'm not sure how this witch hunt is helping people. This was supposed to be about preventing suicide, not attacking political enemies. In fact, they are so bad that they...
Yeah, this was supposed to be about suicide, she said. After saying, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Comparing her situation to that of the Nazi of Jewish folk under Nazi rule. She compared her conservative views to being a Jew during the Holocaust. Also, just a reminder, trans people were also Holocausted. And after the Holocaust was over, we got put into prisons because it was still illegal to be trans and gay. Crazy.
But then like 5 other liberals were like, you need to take time off and apologize and reflect. They were angry. They were like, you cannot joke about pronouns. And I was like, okay, but now I really want to. Because me saying that you cannot joke about pronouns is equivalent to saying you cannot joke about the government.
Maybe they're just jealous because Veer is actually funny. They don't like the competition. And
I don't know who this person is, and I don't care.
I think he's funny despite the fact that I politically agree with nothing he had to say outside of the cancel culture stuff. I even laughed at the stuff I didn't agree with. Contrary to what woke activists believe, comedy is actually a skill that you have to practice. If you're good, you can convince people that you're funny, even if they don't have the same values as you. People don't laugh at woke comics because they aren't funny, not because they don't agree with their values. But don't go telling me that this is not a political tool. Anytime someone says you can't say certain words or you aren't allowed to make jokes on a certain topic.
Yeah, woke comics are never funny. Stares in George Carlin.
It's always political. Anytime someone calls you transphobic, not because you were trying to be cruel, but simply because you had a differing opinion, it's a political tool to silence you. Anyway, I think I've shown enough examples at this point. All I want to do here is emphasize how important mental health is in relationship to this behavior. If someone using the wrong pronouns ruins your entire day, then you have more important problems to solve outside of being misgendered. By the way, all of this stuff applies to mental health in general, not just trans people.
Yeah, the problem you have in your mental health when being misgendered ruins your entire day is called gender dysphoria. People who don't experience gender dysphoria don't have their entire day ruined because they were misgendered. Because they don't have gender dysphoria.
Trans people just happen to be the example. The reason I did that was, again, because I'm really offended by the extreme de-emphasis around mental health issues in this community because people are trying to get power. These people are not friends of the trans community, and they're actively encouraging a kind of denial of mental health issues that will lead people to experiencing years of misery or even their death. Please, if you are having suicidal thoughts, do not ask a surgeon to fix your problems. Go under the knife if you want, but understand that the mental health issues need to be resolved in therapy, not a surgical center. I really do think—
Yeah, which is why you go to you're required to go to like 2 years of therapy before you get bottom or top surgery. What the fuck is he talking about?
From politics and media who are desperately trying to hide this information because tons of people gain power based on other people's anxiety and mental health issues. Remember how that Antifa teacher said he used fear to manipulate kids into becoming radicals? If you want to start a radical movement, then you need people with a bunch of anxiety issues to feed off of. It's way harder to manipulate people who are mentally healthy. I know I say this a lot, but you can define—
You don't need to give people anxiety issues to make them afraid. Jesus.
These people by slowly, one by one, solving every problem you have. Start with the easy ones first and then tackle the hard ones as you get more confident. If you've been experiencing things like severe depression, you have no idea how much your life will get better when you start fixing your problems.
We need to cover more of this guy's videos. This video has almost like 750,000 views. Holy shit.
For make a bunch of stupid decisions because you had a bad year or two. If you put the work in, you'll have a ton of amazing years ahead of you. So don't waste it because you are sad in the current moment. But with that said, I think that's enough for this video. So if you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, comment and share. If you would like to support this channel, then you can do so with PayPal, Patreon, or Subscribestar. You can find all of those links in the description. Last, don't forget to check me out on Odyssey and Minds.com. You can also find—
getting the gender-affirming care is the prescription in this case.
Those links in the description.
And we're
Otherwise,
finally
thanks for
done.
watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Holy fuck. Holy shit, chat. I legit did not enjoy that, Jack. That's fair. That's fair. But also, I'm trying to give you guys content. And you know what I dislike and don't enjoy even more? The fact that, like, as a trans person, I can't really avoid shit like that. You know? Like, as a trans person, that's the stuff I come up against on a daily basis. Online and in real life. On occasion, and it really fucking sucks. It really fucking sucks. I've been here for 10 minutes and I dislike that very much. Wait, Metal Kitty Mom, you've been here for a while though. Punky Gal, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub to Aaron J. Bear. Danny Boy the Great, thank you for the 20 biddies. At least we got to torture all the sissies with this shit we got to go through, and we get to call it content. I know, right? Yeah, we deal with this when we wake up and check the news, and like our local news station is running like a Sinclair ad about how gender ideology is like invading our schools. You know? Ty Virtual, thank you very much for the follow. I'm still smiling about Jack the Stripper. Same. This was a good stream. I drank a lot of whiskey. The news from last week legit hurt my depression more. Yeah, the last several weeks has been just absolutely dismal.